Welcome to another great episode of Diz Debate. We are so happy to have you here today. Diz Debate is a podcast made by Disney fans for Disney fans. We cover a range of topics from hot topics in the Disney Parks community to armchair Imagineering episodes where we workshop new ideas about upcoming lands and attractions, and we also do battle episodes, which we're going to have one up today, which we're really excited about. Joining us are some of our old friends and new friends. We're excited to have them all today. But first, we're going to introduce them in the way that they're representing a park because we're doing a Parks Battle episode today. So I'm going to go first because I'm representing the one, the only, the classic Disneyland California. Woot woot. Home park. Let's go. I'm Jackson. I'm Disneyland Man's Instapics on Instagram. Lucy, how are you doing today? It's nice to see you back with us.
I'm good after many a Wi-Fi issue, but I'm good.
Well, we're glad to have you. And it says here you're representing Disney World for us. Is that
I am,
correct?
yes.
Excellent. And can we find you on social media anywhere?
You can. It is at Lucy in Florida, but Lucy with an IE.
Fantastic. All right, well, we will look for you there. Sophie, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. So I'm Sophie's Travel Journal on Instagram and representing Tokyo, which is the best Asian park. People disagree, but it's the best one.
Well, as we can see, there's been shots fired previously, and there will continue to be as we go on. Olivia, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I am representing Disneyland Paris. I've got the sweatshirt on and the ears ready, and I'm rope drop ready on all socials.
Well, it is great to have you back. We are excited to hear from you. And then Hannah and Laszlo, how are you doing today?
Hi,
Yeah, good, thanks. I'm Laszlo,
I'm Hannah.
and we are Disney Foolish Mortals on all socials, and we are representing the most beautiful, the most picturesque, and just the best park, Hong Kong Disney.
Debatable. And Dean, how are you doing today? It's good to have you, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, slightly hungover. So as long as I can paste a few words together, I'll be good. I'm actually representing the best part, the biggest and the newest, Shanghai. So we'll see how that goes.
You mean the biggest queues?
Um, Depends when you go.
Also joining us today is going to be AC. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all good. Happy Easter, everyone. Thank you for having me back on. Yeah, my name is AC. I am mainly known as one of the co-hosts on the Disload podcast. You can find all of us on the Disload and also known under Sailing Away podcast on Instagram as well.
Absolutely fantastic. AC, we're glad to have you judge today. And then Eileen, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. And you're also going to be
Good.
one of our judges, correct?
Yes. So I'm going to hear everybody out and then go from there.
Well, we're excited. We're excited to have everybody. Now that I've mentioned everybody, it's going to be a good time. Without any further ado, I will jump into my park argument. Let's go. I'm ready now. Okay, everybody. So I'm representing the original Walt's Dream, Disneyland, California. One of the finest theme parks the world has ever seen. Changed the world back in 1955. That's right, it did. And it is just a joy to be there. I mean, it is packed full of attractions. I mean, you just walk 10 feet, there's another attraction, and then there's another trash can, and then there's another attraction, and then there's another trash can. It's the best there. We have a lot of the classics from Peter Pan to Pinocchio, but we also have like some rides that don't exist in other parts. Looking at you, Disney World, we have the submarines, and we have the original Autopia. Thank you, everybody. Matterhorn bobsleds, only one. Thank you. That's a great coaster. We have Big Thunder. We still have our Rivers of America with one and two boats that go on that. The Sailing Ship Columbia and the Mark Twain. Thank you, everybody. I mean, look no further. We also have the canoes, which are a great time. I'm into that. I know not everyone else is into rowing on their vacations, but I'm into that. I mean, we have the most iconic and beautiful Main Street of any Disney park, and especially if you catch that thing at dusk, that is otherworldly experience. I have to say, that is a beautiful thing to behold. We have the original Jungle Cruise, not some copycat with some other guy in Disney World. We have Indiana Jones Adventure, the OG, not some like redone thing the Animal Kingdom's getting. We have the original Temple of Forbidden Eye, best one by far. Original Pirates, Haunted Mansion. We get the cool overlay. I mean, and I don't think anything can beat Disneyland during Christmas time, especially. I mean, Disney World at Christmas time is great. Other parks during Christmas are awesome, but Disneyland during Christmas is just, it is probably the most nostalgic and magical place on this green earth, and it is just the best. We also have Galaxy's Edge now, right? Which is a phenomenal park, only adds to the package and the appeal. And unlike other parks, we still have a Toontown. I know there's only one other one out there, so if you want to take a trip to Toontown, come on over. We'll see you here. And our small world isn't underground and moldy. It's outside and it's nice. And I really appreciate that. So that's something I could be glad about. Across the way, we have California Adventure, which I'll admit doesn't add a lot of points to my argument because it's an interesting park and it always has been. But we do have Grizzly Airfield and we have Cars Land, which does add a lot of points for me because Cars Land is one of the best themed lands in any Disney park. It is so great and it is so magical. Pixar Pier is wonderful, great coaster. And then we have a pretty phenomenal downtown Disney area with the Disneyland Hotel, the Disneyland Hotel. I just like to emphasize the word "the" in front of all these things. The Jungle Cruise. It's the original. They're the best ones. This park was Walt's dream, and you feel that right as you step into that park. You know it's where he was, and it's what he worked hard for, and it's what he gave everything to make happen. And it was the start of something that ultimately led to everyone else in this chat being able to do their park. So thank you. You're welcome, everybody, for that. But it is truly a magical and wonderful place. I am now open for questions.
Compelling arguments. I will say, I'm going to ask how you feel about there being two parks, just as opposed to, others that might have more.
Ah, yes. We do not have as many gates as other parks, especially Disney World. We just have the two, and California Adventure is an interesting gate, to say the least. But I think that really just speaks to how strong Disneyland is on its own, because people still go there by the millions every year, and they spend their whole vacation just going to Disneyland, and it's all they need, really. I mean, DCA is a nice break, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing, but they go to Disneyland, and they have a good time, and they just keep coming every year. So I think it really just speaks to how nostalgic and wonderful that place really is.
Jackson, I've got a question as well. Do they sell magnifying glasses there in the park? Do you know?
Why would I need one of those? Why would I?
I was
Why are you
just
asking?
wondering if I need to bring our own one if you want to see the castle.
No, you can see it if you know where to look. It's just if the trees get overgrown, it kind of gets. They got to keep those things trimmed.
Gardeners wanted.
What was happening with your magic hour over there? Because all the hotel guests lost it recently, didn't they?
Oh,
Like
you heard about that? That's not. Well, that's just. Oh, that is unfortunate. That was a problem. I don't think anyone appreciated that, including the park. It's not good. I can't fight that one. It's bad.
Because there's like literally never a quiet day over there. Kind of.
Well, maybe you don't need a magic hour. Like, I mean, it's just so great. Like another hour, it's just, I don't know. It's bad. They should have magic hour. They should. It's unfortunate they took it away.
So I'm gonna throw a judging question then to Disneyland. So this question will be different for everyone else, but it will be asked to everyone else in a way. And I say this, except for Disneyland, where do we think the park has evolved to Walt's image? And do we think the park still represents the image that Walt would expect from his park? So I'm not talking the original concept of Disneyland, because obviously that was what he designed. I'm talking the evolution it has now taken to where it is today.
Yeah. And I know this question isn't for me, but I will say that, like, I think something I've noticed is there's a debate, we've talked about it on this podcast with Galaxy's Edge and if it belongs in Disneyland. And while I have opinions about that, I do think that Galaxy's Edge does kind of fulfill what he saw Disneyland being. And you were supposed to be put in these adventures, right? You were supposed to be the main focus point of these experiences and adventures, and I think Galaxy's Edge does a good job at putting you in the middle of that kind of thing. So while the theme may not really add for me to Disneyland, I think the experiences in that land do fulfill that vision still. So even these newer changes to the park, I would say they track for that.
I think Blue Milk would have sent him into an early grave.
Yes,
How's the
Eileen.
weather there? How's the
It's
weather when you go to Disneyland? I mean,
it's lovely. It's lovely
because
there.
I
It
think
gets
that's
a
a
little
huge
warm.
factor when it comes to parks, right?
Yeah, I think Disneyland California has some of the best weather.
I,
It does get chilly. Like I won't lie to you, it does get a little chilly, but it doesn't like snow like Disneyland Paris maybe. And it stays pretty warm throughout the year, and it's pretty nice. I think it's one of the best parks for weather. It's pretty consistent.
Where would you go to meet Duffy and friends at your park?
We don't need to meet them at our park. You meet Mickey Mouse. It's his park, original. I can go to Mickey's house and meet Mickey if that's what. Go to his actual home if that's what.
And just remind me, where could I stay? Give me the Disneyland hotels that we could all go and stay at when we visit.
Well, there's plenty. There's three. So there's the Disneyland Hotel.
Free.
Yeah, there's three. Okay, they had to cram them in. All right. There's the Disneyland Hotel. There's Pixar Place, isn't it called? Pixar Place Hotel now. And then there's the Grand Californian, which I mean that one speaks for itself. That has great reviews. Disneyland Hotel, wonderful place to stay, immensely good, wonderful food, and awesome rooms and a great pool. Best water slide I've ever been on. So.
There's just so many options.
I mean, my
Spoiled
cup
for
runneth
choice.
over.
So on
And
that then, on the resorts, what is the best resort then? And don't just give me detail of why it's the best resort and what makes the resorts at Disneyland better than say the resorts at Walt Disney World, Hong Kong, Tokyo. What makes them better?
All right, that's a really good question, actually. So I think Disneyland Hotel is the best resort there, which I know that's like, duh, it's the Disneyland Hotel. But I think for me, the Disneyland Hotel is the best because it is you can really feel the connection to Disneyland there, and it really doesn't feel like you leave the park, especially if you monorail over there, which is rad. It's the only use we have, but we do have it. If you monorail over there, it really doesn't feel like you leave, and you really do feel the connection to the history of the park and the heritage and all the people who've come before you and all the big visitors and everything. I really do appreciate that. I also think that the Disneyland Hotel has maintained that. What do you call that? It's sort of like that peaceful atmosphere that a lot of places in Disneyland used to have before it got really crowded. You can still go to the Disneyland Hotel and kind of chill out, and it's pretty quiet there usually, and it's really nice. And you can get a bite to eat and kind of sit by yourself and enjoy the music and enjoy the water. And so I think that's something that's a huge plus about the Disneyland Hotel is you can kind of stay in the magic of Disneyland, the original and Walt's kind of vision, but still enjoy kind of time away and quiet and kind of nice time with your family, which I do appreciate. And I also think they've done a really good job with the space they have there. Like, yes, it is smaller than, say, Grand Floridian or something like that. They worked on a way smaller footprint, but I really think they did really good. Like, the pool there is phenomenal, and they fit a lot of restaurants in there and some really nice gift shops and some wonderful places just to relax. I mean, there's shade forever in there. So I honestly think I think that's the best resort, despite its steep price point.
You mentioned about it being a bit tight there. Where are you guys going to expand to add all the new attractions and things?
That's a great question. We actually have permits that have been approved for Disneyland Forward, so that's going to be something. We're going to add a whole new big park across the street. I don't think it's going to be a third gate, but I know it's going to be expansion. I think that's still kind of up for debate, but yeah, it's going to be more attractions. There's going to be more things to do over there, and who knows if more resorts come with that.
When it comes to annual passes, how affordable is it to get annual passes then, and what do you get out of the pass?
What I think annual passes for me are what, 1,200 or something per person? That's the last time I checked, I think they were. They are affordable if you go often. This is one, okay, this is one thing I will acknowledge. Disneyland is a locals park. It is a locals friendly park. And so if you live close to Disneyland and you get an annual pass or you get a resident pass, like it's going to be worth your money. But if you're traveling for Disneyland, it's gonna be tricky to make that annual pass worth it. Now, as with all parks or all prices, it used to be cheaper and it used to be easy. When I was a kid, it was $600 and you'd go 3 times a year and it paid itself off, easy peasy. But 1,200 is a lot, and so I think it takes 5 or 6 trips now, of like a few days each to sort of start making your money back, so to speak. And I know they still do some perks with it. I think they still do 10% off merch, which isn't a lot, but kind of helps, and then you get access to stuff. But it is kind of a limiting pass, but it's if you go often enough and you live close enough, it can be worth it. Like I think for me it would be if I had money to go all the time. I don't,
Just
but I
to
want to.
just to fact check your costing, your current top tier annual pass is $1,900.
Ooh, see, that's why you check. Thank you, AC.
Inspire Key is setting at 1,899. You know, reasonable pricing. Your Believe is 1,474. Your Explorer is 999, and your SoCal only is 599.
But I'm willing to bet that those lower ones have lots of blackout days
Certainly
or
do.
something
If you want
similar.
to get in
Yeah.
whenever you want, as you want, you better cough up because that's a lot.
Yeah, that is another problem that I will admit with my park. It is crowded and it is small, and so it is hard to manage the crowd flow there for sure. And so annual pass prices, everything at Disneyland reflects the crowds. Which is a problem, but it only speaks to how popular it is and how timeless it is. People still go. So I don't know. I think that says something about my park. I really do.
I'm going to ask about entertainment. What kind of shows do you offer?
All sorts. Well, we have Fantasmic on the Rivers of America, which is phenomenal. We've got that new Bluey show coming actually in the Fantasyland Theater, which is going to be. I'm actually really excited to see how that goes. Or it's there, isn't it? Isn't it? It started. Anyway, it's over there. There's also all sorts of things in the Fantasy Fair area. There's storytelling, and you can meet all sorts of people over there. And that's kind of it. There's not a lot of other shows. There's one in the Tomorrowland Terrace, but I'm not gonna include that because it's bad. I'm just gonna own that one. It's the Tomorrowland Terrace show is bad. World of Color is also in DCA, which is a plus. World of Color is a wonderful and magnificent show, which I think does add a lot for us.
I will give you that. World
Yeah.
of Colour is probably my favourite show of all of the Disney parks. So
Yeah.
you know,
World of
you
Color
get
is a
that.
huge plus. And our fireworks shows, I mean, we have plenty of those, but yeah, I would say Fantasmic and World of Color are our two that come out swinging for that one for sure. Which aren't bad, but it isn't a lot.
How many parades do you have?
Oh, sure, some. I think we have 1 or 2 that run throughout the day, and low key, that is another problem with Disneyland because it's smaller. They're a lot shorter, and it is harder to get seating for those, especially since they run in that little bottleneck next to the Matterhorn, and they run back to It's a Small World. It's kind of a big deal to get to those, but I think we have 1 or 2 that run throughout the day, and then special edition ones like for the 70th and stuff that run occasionally as well. But we did have the original Main Street Electrical Parade, which is worth noting. But Paint the Night
Where is it now?
it's somewhere else, taking a break. But we do have Paint the Night, which is rad. So that's a big deal. People like that one.
Yeah.
If everyone's done and I've cemented my loss, we can move on to Disney World. Lucy, you have that one, right?
I do, yes.
All right,
And
hit us with your best shot. We're ready.
no, I'm taking this very seriously. I'm making notes, and I have been making notes sort of throughout the day of points for my argument. So, obviously, we all know Walt Disney World. I could bore you with the things that we all know: the 4 parks, the 2 water parks, Disney Springs, very large shopping and entertainment complex, are over 25 hotels to give you lots of range, all in various price points. And also access to cruises, which I sort of made a note of very recently. But I've actually got statistics to show you, kind of just to make my argument even more compelling. So Walt Disney World has on average 48 to 50 million visitors per year. That is the most of any Disney park that I sort of cross-referenced against. For just sort of, comparison, Disneyland in California has 17 million visitors to Disneyland Park, 10 million for Disneyland California. Walt Disney World has planned investment of 17 billion over the next 10 years, I want to say. So obviously Disney are planning on focusing quite a lot on Disney World, which I think they do anyway from just, how things get announced, but I think it's just sort of worth to note. Obviously we did a poll and that came out as a majority of people would visit Walt Disney World out of sort of the other parks. I also did an Instagram poll on my stories and 89% of those said that they would visit Walt Disney World as opposed to all the other sort of international parks. We also have, the classic modes of transportation, which other Disney parks do not have. That includes the Skyliner, as we all know and love, buses, monorails, boats, which I know others do have in their own way. But we also have minivans, which I feel like is a very important one to note. Is very, very popular nowadays.
And very, very expensive.
And very expensive. But if you can afford to stay at the Grand Floridian, you can probably afford the minivan to and from your, park of choice. And I'm pretty sure they do it to the airport as well, which is
they do. It cost me $60 to get a minivan from MK back to my resort. I was probably in it for about 15 minutes.
But what was the cast member experience worth that to you?
Your service was fantastic. I had 2 kids I need to get back. Not arguing it, but I was desperate. But it was like, I spent $60 for 15 minutes. I probably wouldn't do that again.
But, they look nice.
They do look nice, but they're very expensive. But,
They are. So anyway, I think other things that I kind of just had to note, just sort of there and then in response to Disneyland is Fantasmic. We have seating. We don't have to sit on the floor. Which I feel like is quite important.
It's kind of a less authentic experience, isn't it? I mean, I got to sit along the rivers of America and enjoy my Fantasmic, but whatever.
Well, yeah, but see, when it's been a really long park day, I'm quite happy to not have to sit cross-legged on the floor for however long. I mean, I'm not saying our benches are much better, but it's something. And we have the people mover, so, and we have spring rolls.
Never had one.
Yep.
You've never had one? Oh my goodness. You've not lived.
Spent years and years building that new Tron coaster, right? Surely that's a great attraction. It's not too short, is it? Like, that's not a problem that it has. It's lengthy.
It's great and not painful at all for some of us to sit on. No, but you know what? It's short and sweet. It is. However, you can't deny that it is a great adrenaline rush. Quick, but it is great. It could be longer. I will give you that.
First question I've got for a judging point then is, let's go to resorts, right?
Yep.
Walt Disney World has a substantial amount of resorts, right? And so I want from you what you think is the best resort on Walt Disney World property. I'm not fussed about if it's a value, deluxe, moderate. What is it? Sell that to me as what it is, because as someone who goes regularly, I have my own opinion. So I want to get a different perspective before I throw my weight into that.
Yeah, no, I'm lucky to have stayed at quite a few of the resorts, all in kind of various price points. And the one that I would always recommend to really anyone is Pop Century. And I think that it is a really well-rounded hotel, really for anyone to stay in and have your needs met in some way. So you want theming, you've got it. You want exclusive transportation to 2 theme parks, you've got it with the Skyliner. You want budget, you want value for your money, you've got it. Pop Century is one of the best placed kind of hotels when it comes to the price bracket. You have got several pools. It's large. It's how do I sort of put this? It's fantastic. We have stayed there obviously without children and we have loved it. For children, it's also brilliant. Rooms, they're basic, but they have everything that you might need for going into Disney, coming back. It's well located. And I just think that you really cannot go wrong with that resort for what it provides, for the price it provides it for.
Okay. Well, it's good. So I would say from a baseline option, I would have put Pop Century in that list. So yeah.
Also, in Walt Disney World's defense, Port Orleans is a great place to stay as well. It is a little harder on your wallet, but compared to the other ones, it is pretty kind to your wallet, and that is a very underrated resort. Has a lot of the same qualities that I love about the Disneyland Hotel. It's quiet, it's very well themed, very, very nice place to stay, and just like Lucy said, meets all your needs. So I would just like to play devil's advocate for that one for sure.
I think the thing is that the hotels, the range of hotels gives you really whatever you need. You can pick something, for everyone. Obviously you've got Art of Animation if you want that sort of Disney theming. You've obviously got the slightly pricier hotels that come with more subtle theming. I'm sort of thinking the Riviera, for example, that has some gorgeous Disney theming throughout it, but it's not super loud and in your face. You can even go camping within Disney, which is pretty cool.
How consistent is the food quality in Walt Disney World? Because sometimes you just want to stop for a quick snack, and can you just get something good from everywhere?
See, I think you can. I think that you have to sometimes go looking for it. I think a lot of the quick service locations are going to sell things like burgers, things like chicken nuggets, and obviously our kind of infamous strips, for example, that, a lot of people say that's the only thing you can get in Disney. It isn't. But you have to go looking for it. When you think about Epcot, for example, how many places, how many quick service locations there are throughout the World Showcase, that you can try so many different foods that are very, very good for the price that you pay for that.
What's happening with your Tomorrowland? Because it feels like it doesn't know what it's trying to be. Because you've got Tron, you've got Space Mountain, and you took our Tron to start with, which we developed and designed. And it's just kind of been left there. You don't really know what you're doing with it.
I'll give you that. I think that Disney World could focus more on what Tomorrowland is really about. We've kind of got a mix of everything. However, we've got things, I think, that are timeless and things that everyone loves. Space Ranger Spin, Carousel of Progress, the Tomorrowland Speedway, Tron, obviously, is a separate thing people have their opinions about. And of course, the People Mover. Who doesn't love a ride on the People Mover?
So
surely after I ride the People Mover, I could go to the Rivers of America, right? That's something I can do there, seeing as it is a copy of Disneyland.
And go on Splash Mountain, yeah?
And I can ride the Disneyland Rail or the Disney World Railroad around the whole park, right?
Wait, we're working on that, I think.
So
I'm trying. I can't remember the last time I did it, but we are blessed with space, and so whilst the Rivers of America may not be there in its original form anymore, there's still lots that you can do within Disney World, as in within Magic Kingdom. You may not be able to ride the People Mover and then go and see the Rivers of America, but you can go on Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is great.
If it's working.
If it's working, it seems to be a little bit more consistent than when it first opened. And of course, if there's lightning, then just don't go around 3 p.m. is all I will say. You might be disappointed.
I was going to ask, so it's arguably the only park that feels like the surface of the sun for most of the year. So how do you best deal with that?
See, Florida does get winter. I promise you guys, we get winter over there. It's just not as common. We have iguanas falling from our trees when we get cold for 2 days of the year. But we may be really, really hot. I personally love it because I'm very much a summer person, but there are plenty of ways to cool down. We have a lot of AC. We have a lot of things, if you want to go shopping, you've got a shop everywhere to go into. And the rides are a very good way to cool down a lot of the time. but it is hot. I will give you that. Go between December to like February, I think, if you want it to be cooler.
So let's go into the question then of, Walt's expectations, because I'll be blunt because I can. Magic Kingdom is probably the weakest castle park on the roster, in my opinion. I believe it is the weakest of them all that I've been to. Doesn't mean it's a bad park, but if I'm comparing to what I've been to, it's my weakest park. Do we think that the Magic Kingdom, in its current state, given before any of the maintenance work, so before we have removed Rivers of America for Piston Peak and Villain, do we think that meets Walt's vision of what that park should have been in his eyes? Because to me, I don't think it was, but I'd love to get an argument that proves me wrong.
To me, my kind of response to this, I suppose, in defense of Magic Kingdom, is that Walt very famously said, don't quote me for word, but very famously said that Disney will never be complete. It will never be finished. And by that, I take to mean that he always wanted it to be developing. He always wanted it to be changing. Walt Disney's vision at the end of the day was for everyone to be able to go and enjoy Disney of all ages. And I think that still very much happens. Do I think that Magic Kingdom, as in the essence of Magic Kingdom, is not what it used to be? Perhaps. And I think that along the way, it is definitely, some essence of it has potentially been lost compared to other parks. Obviously, drawing back to Disneyland, for example, which obviously is always going to be the original, is always going to be the authentic. However, I would challenge that Walt Disney never wanted it to just be complete. He never wanted, everyone to go, okay, that's it. We've done it. We've perfected it. We're not going to touch it anymore.
You're hardly mentioning the three other parks. Are you ashamed of these parks? Do you think they're not
Yeah,
as
I heard
good?
you have Hollywood Studios. What?
Don't
That sounds
question me.
exciting.
I mean, I feel very passionately about Epcot because I feel as though that was a real vision that Walt Disney didn't have the ability to do in California, what he then could do in Florida. So, but no, by all means, grill me about any other park because we focus a lot on Magic Kingdom as being the main one, but it's definitely not by all means.
Talking about the other parks, like I really like in Animal Kingdom, the world of Avatar, Pandora. It's one of the most beautiful things, and they spent a lot of money recently as well to redo the fluorescent painting on the floor, which you can only see in the darkness. So how can one see that if they
Surely
are very
that
excited
park is
about it
open
because
late.
it's so advertised?
You could go and see it in 2014 with a time machine when it first opened. No, I don't have an answer for that. I know that a lot of people question why Animal Kingdom is not open late. Obviously, they really tried when it came to the sunset safaris, and it was a great idea in, sort of theory, I suppose. I hope that they bring it back. I think that it would be a great thing. I don't know why, but I mean, it is beautiful. It's beautiful in the day. It looks so gorgeous. The photos you can get are absolutely brilliant. I am sure that Disney have their reasons for not opening their parks beyond 6 p.m. for Animal Kingdom so that you can see it at night. But I mean, there are great photos online if you want to see what it did look like in the dark.
So we can look at photos.
You can look at photos a bit,
So you've got 4 parks.
And 2 water parks.
Two of them are half-day parks, though. So what's the point in having 4 gates?
The parks, I mean, right, to me, the parks are what you make them. I will say, Animal Kingdom, I can do it in half a day, but that's just me. That might not be someone else. And by that, I do what I want to do in half a day, not what everything it has to offer.
It's only open half a day. It's only open half a day.
Well, that's a fair point. And luckily I feel like you can do Animal Kingdom. Like people that say it's a full day, I can do it in half a day to do the main things on a quiet day. On a busier day, it's probably not quite as easy to do. But there is so much in every single park you could spend from open to close doing everything. And I mean every little thing. If we want, if we're talking about every ride, every show, the parades, if you want chance to look around all the shops and all of the little things that you can go and see, that probably would take all day, if you're not kind of running at the speed of light through it all. But also, it has the beauty of you can go back if you want to spend half a day there, that's fine, and then you can go back in and do it a different time.
Sorry, Lucy, you mentioned the parade. So is there a parade at all four of the parks then there?
We have the Festival Fantasy Parade, commonly known as the 3 o'clock parade at Magic Kingdom. We have some, look, they're not technically parades, but we do have boats through Animal Kingdom that are quite nice. We're not going to talk about the kites. We're not going to talk about that. But the boats are great. Epcot, look, I don't. How would they put a parade through that park? Where would it go? But where else? Hollywood Studios does have a parade. It used to, anyway.
Going back about 20 years, all parks had parades, but now it's just like one park, isn't it? What happened there?
You know what? It could be arranged for parades. No, I mean, I will admit that there could be more parades. I am not personally a massive parade person, so it's not something that kind of, affects me too much. I do remember once upon a time, like the High School Musical parade, for example, in Hollywood Studios. That was fantastic. I'm pretty sure they still do a Pixar kind of cavalcade. That is and they definitely do something at Christmas, because when I was sort of last there for Christmas, they had like Father Christmas going through. But no, I will say that the parades can be somewhat lacking. But we make up for it for the shows. The evening entertainment is very good.
You do have Starlight Parade at Magic Kingdom now in the night.
Exactly. And we, obviously a lovely take on the electrical parade. So that's 2 parades in Magic Kingdom. And then again, we have the nighttime shows and we have all sorts going on at night, which is it's the main thing.
Do you feel like Starlight is worth the money they put into it, though? Compared to, like, Electrical Parade and Spectro Magic, It feels kind of cheap.
Spectro Magic and the Electrical Parade will always hold a very special place in my heart. It's always, one thing that I loved, and I love that they nod to it in the new parade. I think that obviously what they were aiming for is a new take on the kind of nighttime parade. I think that for those of us that are familiar with Spectro and with the Main Street Electrical Parade, I don't think it was ever going to hold candle to it. Much the same as, to me, Illuminations in Epcot will always be, the nighttime show there. But I think for new people and people that perhaps don't have those earlier memories that we have of those parades, I think it is probably wonderful and they probably love it, and that will then go on to hold a special place for them when eventually we move on to the next nighttime parade in Magic Kingdom, however many years' time that will be.
I will say Happily Ever After is one of my favourite fireworks shows. I mean, I'm a Wishes girly, but HEA has my heart. It's better than the Paris ones, I'll say that.
Yeah, Magic Kingdom.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Just actually take a minute to discuss Disney Springs. I can spend a day at Disney Springs without going into the parks, and I feel as though another fantastic thing about Walt Disney World is you can go and not step into the parks but still have a great day. That's what we do quite a lot. And also, we're not on the side of a road like Disneyland California is.
And spend even more money.
I say this, I love Disneyland California. I just want to make that very clear. I absolutely adore it. I am just, it is on the side of a road in my opinion.
It didn't used to be. It used to be on the side of nothing, and now everyone showed up because Disneyland is so great.
And it's just there. You can just be walking down the sidewalk, and there we are.
In another universe, we're having this argument, and I was able to bring up Westcott, and I won because I had Disneyland and Westcott. There's a universe where that did happen, and I just wanted to make that clear. I may lose this, but one day.
People talk about the bubble a lot with Disney World, and I feel like that's, they have the ability. I mean, it's the size of a small city. They have the ability to make it feel as though you are in a completely separate place. So, the rest of what's going on.
I was just gonna ask about Disney World is the only place where you're at risk of being eaten by an alligator. What do you have to say about this?
Look, you walk around a lake, you walk around a body of water, there are about 30 signs telling you don't go any closer. There could be a very small risk. I've never personally seen it within Disney. I think that the likelihood of it is very, very low. My understanding is that Disney do what they can to make it as safe as possible. Obviously, we encourage wildlife, and I think that it's a fantastic thing that we do, but in a safe way. And I know that Disney are very, very aware of it. There is a lot of kind of information basically advising you don't go anywhere near the water, because you never know. But this is Florida and we are in their habitat, so we have to just be very respectful of that.
But this is not happening in any of the other parks, no?
I mean, not to my understanding.
We don't have that.
Florida has a unique climate, but we have some wonderful nature and wildlife, and I've never felt personally at risk when I've walked around a body of water at Disney World. Again, there's lots of signs. Say that again.
They had to put fences so you can't get near it no more.
Well, there was the odd people that
in Bay Lake. Now you can't.
Look, people took risks that they probably shouldn't have taken, knowing that this is Florida and knowing that gators can just be walking around. But you know what? I've never seen it in Disney. I think that it's unlikely that we ever will just see a gator walking around of its own accord.
It's not just gators, though, because there's been bears, isn't there, when you had the island, well, before it was taken away.
Yep, there was bears. Yep. I'd also like to say,
Great Escape. That's abandoned. Still have abandoned stuff.
There's that whole pavilion in Epcot. There's 3 attractions in there, right? And that's just, what is it? No, it's still there, just walled off, crumbling.
I'm surprised no one's brought up our abandoned water park yet, to be honest. Look, we have a lot of space that we are still figuring out what we're going to do with it. We had plans. We were going to have a Mary Poppins ride. I like to still think that is still going to happen one day.
No.
It might. You never know.
So you're telling me while I'm walking around, let's say I'm walking around Epcot, and I avoided getting eaten by dinosaurs, which is the alligators. That's great. If I fall in the water there, my brain will get eaten by the amoebas in the World Showcase Lagoon, right? I mean, as long as I don't go near Wonders of Life and breathe in the crumbling decay of that pavilion, and I avoid all the drunk people, and I find what little shade there's about this much, and I don't fall in the water, it's a great vacation, right?
It's, you know what? It's a walk. It's a lovely walk in the sunshine. And you know what? We are just a nature reserve. You can see all sorts, all walks of life. It's just on your doorstep.
Well, if no one has anything else for Lucy, I think we've thoroughly torn Disney World to shreds. Big thank you to Hannah on that one.
We all love it.
Yeah, that's true. We love it so much we know it. Yeah.
We can.
This is why we're all so good at it, because we love them all so much. We'll move right along to Sophie, who has Tokyo Disney. Take it away.
So, Tokyo Disney Resort. It's the most visited Disney park in Asia. And 72% of people who follow me on Instagram say that's the one they visit the most out of all the Asian parks. So I think that's quite a good statistic. Anyway, we'll start with the parks. So there's 2 parks. We'll start with Tokyo Disney Sea. So there's no other park like this in the world. It's completely unique. It's stunning. It's everything about it. The detail is just stunning. It has the best theming. Each area of it is themed amazingly. Also, it has a volcano and it erupts. Do any of the parks have that? No. It has a whole cruise ship in it. Cruise ship, yeah, not just like a little boat. It's a full-on ship. It's a cruise ship, and it has a bar in it, and you can go to the top, and you can see Tokyo. You can see Mount Fuji on a clear day. Can you see that in another Disney park? No. Also, it has Duffy. This is only Mount, but it has Duffy and Friends. whole area dedicated to them, so you can take photos, and there's a restaurant, and it's great. Anyway, unique rides. So you said Disneyland does a lot of unique rides. I present Tokyo. So we'll start with Journey to Centre of the Earth, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Sinbad's Storybook Voyage, which is the best water ride Disney have done because it's got Chandu in it. Then you've got Raging Spirits, Indiana Jones, Temple of Crystal Skull. Terror of Terror is completely unique at this park, like no other, completely rethemed. And then you've got Fantasy Springs. Every single ride in Fantasy Springs is unique to Tokyo. Can't get them anywhere else. So you've got Peter Pan's Neverland Adventure, Fairy Tinkerbell's Busy Buggies, which is really hard to say, Rapunzel's Lantern Festival, which I know the animatronic has lost her hair, but still when it's working, it's amazing. Anna and Elsa's Frozen Journey is different to all the other versions, and it is significantly better than all the other versions of the ride. Also, you could eat at the Snuggly Duckling. Like, what more could you want? If you're a Tangled fan, like, amazing. We'll go over to Disneyland. So, on the surface, it is just another castle park, but it is so much more than that. Yes, Cinderella Castle is a complete copy of Magic Kingdom, but it's got more to it than that. It's got more unique rides, so we're going to go back to the rides. So we've got Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast, which is the best trackless ride Disney have done to date. It's got amazing animatronics, the story's amazing. You actually feel like you're in the film. And there's not many rides where you actually feel like you are part of the film, but that one you do. Pooh's Funny Hunt was the first ever trackless ride Disney did, and it's the best Pooh ride in all the parks. And that's it. So I'll say that one. You've got Happy Ride with Baymax, which is the only Big Hero 6 ride in all the parks. We also get the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay on Haunted Mansion, so it's not just a California exclusive. Monsters Inc., Ride and Go Seek, Splash Mountain, the original. No Tiana here, it's the original. Tiki Room has Stitch, which is a very much needed addition. If you've been to Tiki Room's a bit sad now, isn't it? Stitch makes it better. Country Bears, so we have the original bears as well, which Disney World doesn't. And it changes throughout the year, so you get a vacation one, you get a Christmas one. Great, keeps it interesting. I've made notes as people have been talking with other things. So we're getting a new Space Mountain. So the original Space Mountain was a copy of Magic Kingdoms, I think, but we're getting a completely new one. It's going to change the game of Space Mountains. It's going to be amazing. Also, we're getting a Wreck-It Ralph ride. So I think it was Astro Blasters it was called, the Buzz Lightyear ride. Now it's going to be Wreck-It Ralph, which is quite exciting, isn't it? It's new. So Small World has Disney characters in it, and they'd also done Marvel overlay now with Groot, which nowhere else does that. And then, so we'll go to the Tokyo Disney Resort as a whole. So it has the best merch out of all the parks. You can get Duffy merch, you can get cute, everything's cute, and it's affordable because the exchange rate is good for us. People sit down to watch parades, so you could turn up like last minute and still see a parade, which if you're at Walt Disney World, if you're not there at that spot like an hour before, you're not seeing it. And also people sit on mats, so they don't get the clothes and then other things dirty, which is so considerate. Don't get that anywhere else. I'd say it has the best snacks and popcorn flavours and all of the popcorn buckets as well, which is great. The cast members are always friendly, and yeah, they may not speak English, may not be everyone's first language, but they do their best and they always help, which is great. So you can actually dress up as characters as well between September and October, whereas other parks don't let you do that. And you can come in full outfits. People go all out. It's great. We have a nighttime parade, which is half an hour long, and it's like the old school nighttime parades. No fairy lights. It's full on. It's amazing. And I also think it's the least judgmental park. Like, I've been to Paris and I've felt a bit judged for being like a full-on Disney adult, but Tokyo, there's none of that. I think it's the Japanese culture, and like everyone's a bit obsessed about something, and it shows because they love it, like Duffy and everything. And I feel like that's the only place I could be truly like full-on Disney adult and no one judges me. It was great. And I've just really rolled through all of that. So if anyone's got questions,
I've got one. How long have I got to wait to actually get into this park, and how many rides am I going to get done in a day when I've got to wait 8 hours to even set foot in the place?
Well, actually, when I went, so I went in October, it was busy. I got to the park the one day about half an hour before opening. I waited about half an hour to get in because it wasn't that long, and I still got on all the rides I wanted to get on. So we do still have free passes for some rides. Nowhere else has that. I mean, you can pay as well, so it is recommended if you don't want to wait like 3 hours for a ride, like the new rides. It is recommended to pay. It's only like £8, I think. I paid for the rides, but we do have free ones, so you can get on not Rapunzel, you can get on Beauty and the Beast for free, which is great because that's obviously got a long wait. I think it depends. I think there's a lot of like scaremongering online with like saying, "Oh, it's going to take you 3 hours to get in." It doesn't. The queues aren't that bad. It's just people show you the queues before the park's open, whereas like once it's open, they move through it quite quick.
If you don't speak Japanese whatsoever, how much are you going to understand of the shows and the rides?
Well, so me and Dean, we went to see a show and it was completely in English. It was the weirdest show I've ever seen. But it was all in English. So there are bits that are in English, bits that are in Japanese. Obviously, like Frozen and Rapunzel, and I think Peter Pan were exclusively in Japanese. But if you know the story, I think you can kind of follow along pretty well. But a lot of the other things, they kind of do a bit of English and a bit of Japanese. I don't think you need to be fluent because I'm not fluent. I mean, I can speak a little tiny bit, but I'm definitely not fluent in Japanese, and I could still cope with things.
I was going to ask about shows as well because I've seen there's like a lottery to get into shows. How does that work?
So basically, as soon as you get in the park, you have to go on the app and you have to like apply to get into these shows. Obviously, you might not get into them. I can't remember which one I tried for. I tried for one of them and I didn't get it. But then on another day, you may get it. I think it's just because obviously it's so busy. It's the most visited theme park in Asia, like I said. So it's just, there's a lot of people. So they just try and manage it so then everyone's got a fair chance then instead of having to queue for like 3 hours or something for it. So,
what are the hotel options?
So we have 6 hotels.
More than Disneyland.
I didn't know this earlier. We have more than Disneyland.
We ran out of space.
You seem to run out of space a lot in Disneyland.
It's not our fault. People moved in.
So the 6 hotels, there is one that, so Disney Sea, Hotel Miracosta, which literally backs onto the theme park. So you can literally see into Disney Sea, you can see the volcano, you can see the cruise ship. It's quite cool. I don't know all the hotels.
I have a question. As someone who's never been, this is like, I'm not trying to jab at Disney Tokyo with this one, but I've never been, but I know its reputation precedes it with this one. It is one of the, if not the best parks. Like a lot of Disney fans say that, like it's their favorite, it's the best, like etc. etc. Like, is that true? Like, does it live up to those expectations? And if I go in not knowing what I'm going to get and I have those expectations, is it going to be kind of a letdown, or am I going to be met with exactly what I think I'm going to see? Like these amazing standards and these incredibly themed attractions.
I think it is great. Epcot's still my favourite park in the world. I'll just say that. I'll start with that. But I think Disney Sea, like, it's one of those parks. I first stepped into that and I was so overwhelmed by it because you have such high expectations when you go in there, and it is busy. I will say that it's extremely busy, and especially in the morning when everyone rushes to Soaring. And if you don't bother at Soaring, you can just walk past and get on all the other rides. But I think once you get used to how busy it is and like get your bearings of the park, it is probably the best themed park that they've done, and I'd say it's probably the prettiest park I've been to. And the rides are all like really good. Like there aren't many rides that were a miss for me. I mean, I don't do big rides, I'll say that. So I didn't do any of the coasters. I didn't do Terror of Terror. But I think all of the rides that they have there are like top tier, like, and a lot of them are unique as well. So
With the characters, obviously there's going to be long waits, but are you able to take multiple pictures and poses with the characters?
No.
Sorry, I just had to get that in there.
Because it's so popular. All the characters are so popular. You walk up to them, they have this photo, and that is it. I mean, cast members will like kind of do loads, like press your camera, so you may get a decent one, or you may, like me, I didn't get a decent one with Mickey. I'm just like, but it is what it is. I think they used to do it, like used to have multiple pictures and different poses, but the wait times were just too high, and they were like, we need to change this. So that's how they've made it more manageable. It's probably not the best way to do it still, but
Do the princess characters, they actually have American accents, not like in Disneyland Paris where they all sound French?
I don't think so. I didn't meet any of the princesses, but I presume they do. I don't know if anyone else has met them. I think, yeah, they do. I saw Elsa. I'm sure she had an American accent. She didn't have a Japanese accent. I think they do try and employ like Americans or English people, I think. So.
And how confusing is it to get around Disney Sea? Do you need a map, or can you get lost in there?
Surely there's a hub.
No. It's a bit confusing. So I like to pride myself on not needing a map when I go to Disney, but Disney Sea is a bit. I think it's because it's so well themed. There's so many pathways. There's so many little nooks to discover. Like you could go 5 times and still not see everything because there's that much to see. So you definitely need the map if you go to Disney Sea, and you can't get paper maps because they don't do those unless you go to guest services. So you have to use the phone, and the signal is not the best. There's no Wi-Fi. You have to use phone signal, which is a bad thing. But if you get an eSIM, because you're already in Japan, so you might as well have an eSIM, so it's fine.
And how much preparation did you have to do before you went? Was it like a lot of studying to get to know everything?
I'd like to say I did. Like, people say you need to do loads of preparation, but I just kind of watched a few YouTube videos and I kind of knew what days to go, I wanted to go, and that was it. I booked a few dining reservations. Everyone's different. Obviously, some people would want to plan more. And I think so you can get a vacation package, and you could probably plan a lot more with that because you get your hotels, you get to choose your rides to go on. But as someone who didn't do that, I just kind of winged it, which probably isn't the best advice. But I got on all the rides I wanted to get on, so I'll say that.
You've got a monorail there in Tokyo, which is really, really nicely themed, nicer than anywhere else. I suppose it's free, just like anywhere else, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's only like a few
What?
pounds, I think.
That is, wow.
That's it. Crazy.
Sorry, that was low.
Yeah, but we get nice little tickets, and you can choose what design you want on your ticket. So there'll be different designs, and each little thing will tell you what design you can get. But it has Mickey windows. It has Mickey like handlebar things. There's a Duffy themed one which has all the different seats of Duffy characters. Yeah,
But they have to
it's a
charge.
20-minute walk to Disney Sea from the station.
Sorry, I was
Sorry.
just going to say they have to charge. It's law in Japan. If you've got a train or monorail, it has to be charged. So that's not Disney's fault.
Okay, forgiven.
But you get the ticket, so
And it's
that's
always on
sold for
time
me.
to visit Japan.
Does it have the same magical Disney feeling with it not actually being owned by Disney?
It is it's owned by the Oriental
Yeah.
Land Company, which is why they can do what they do. So everything, the merch is better. It's the best merch out of all the
Do you
Disney
still
parks.
class it as a proper
with the
Disney
Ocean Park,
park with it being owned by another company?
it's very much still
Hang
a
on,
Disney park. It has Mickey
DLP
Mouse.
was until recently as well. DLP was not owned by Disney until only recently.
But it is
She
now.
was hoping you didn't say that.
Because it's a different company, they have a lot more money to invest into merch, into rides. I mean, they have some of the best rides, some of the best technology as well, because they have the more money to invest. No, there's no cost cutting in Disney, Tokyo Disney.
One of the most magical things when you go
Probably
into
dirty
Disney
mix.
park is when you step inside and you turn onto Main Street USA and you see the castle. How does that work in Tokyo?
You can see the castle. Well, let me angle this a different way. Our Main Street is covered, so if it's raining, it's covered. It's no worries about that. I mean, you can see the castle. I mean, you can see it. You don't need a magnifying glass to see this castle. It is right in front of you. That was a low blow. Sorry. But I mean, I think the fact that it's covered and it's Main Street USA, but it's kind of like Japanese feel as well. Like they've kind of kept true to the Japanese target. Like, they know their target audience, and they've definitely taken that into account when they design the park, which I think is great, because I just think it's great that they do that.
All right. Well, sounds like we've heard some pretty good arguments so far. Next, we're going to hear from our very own Olivia about Disneyland Paris. Why don't you take it away, Olivia?
Okay. I've got notes. I've got a lot of notes, so I'm going to be reading off my iPad. It makes it a bit more easier to get it all out there, because there's a lot of why it is the best Disney park. First of all, you've just got to say it has the most beautiful castle out of all of them. There's, that is just a fact. There's, you can walk through it. There's 2 shops. You can walk up, and there's like the stained glass windows. You can go through the Sleeping Beauty story. You can go outside and then have a look across Fantasyland from above, and it's just beautiful. And you can go underneath the castle and see a dragon, like a massive animatronic dragon, and it's just amazing. So I would say it's the best Disney castle out there, and a lot of people have agreed, because I did do like a little question and answer on my stories on Instagram, and a lot of people said that their favourite thing about Disneyland Paris is the castle. I had, 2 or 3 people say that, and I did have people saying the castle is what Disneyland Paris does better than any of the rest of the parks worldwide. And I will be going back to that, because I've had a lot of answers, and it shows why Disneyland Paris is so special to a lot of people as well. I'd say it has the best overall park atmosphere. It is so immersive, and there's so many hidden paths and quiet corners. It's, got all the storytelling, and Imagineering just did an incredible job at making it such a beautiful park. It has superior versions of classic rides. You've got Big Thunder Mountain, which is the best Big Thunder Mountain out of all of the parks. It's on its own island. It goes underground. I mean, if you watch the ride POV, it is the best. And a lot of people say, who have been to all of the different ones worldwide, that it is the best Big Thunder Mountain. I would say that Phantom Manor is the best Haunted Mansion style ride out there as well. It has an amazing story. It's got characters, and even at Halloween you can see the characters on the parade with Melanie Ravenswood and the Phantom, and I just love that ride. We also have the best Pirates. It's a really long ride, more detailed. It's got a really good story as well. And Tower of Terror is actually one of the best as well, I'd say. Again, the storyline is incredible. You've got like the little girl. It's, I would say, one of the scariest ones out there. And also it's more intense, and the drop sequence is amazing. You've got so many drops in there. I mean, I was sat next to Dean screaming on that, so I can say it is probably the most intense one out there. You've got Hyperspace Mountain, which, of course, we've got the Star Wars overlay at the moment, but that Space Mountain in its original form is beautiful. You've got the Jules Verne, like steampunk-esque. It's got a launch, and it goes upside down. Which other Space Mountain goes upside down? So it's very unique in that aspect. We've got a lot of theming and storytelling throughout, and cohesive narratives across the land, especially Frontierland. As with Phantom Manor and Big Thunder, they are linked with Thunder Mesa. That whole area is stunning. We've also got our own Rivers of America. We've got the boat there. We've got the Molly Brown, which is exceptional. One thing that a lot of people said from what Disneyland Paris does the best, I had countless people saying about the entertainment, and it's one thing that I think Disneyland Paris does better than any Disney park out there. So I'll say even some people from the Disload did say that the daytime shows are a light, especially Rhythm of the Pride Lands. Other people mentioned Mickey and the Magician. They said daytime shows, Mickey and the Magician, enough said. We've got other ones for shows down here, live shows, basically like West End standard, live shows, especially Mickey and the Magician, nighttime shows, shows and general entertainment. So many people said about the shows, and with it being the favourite thing as well about Disneyland Paris. You have the theme seasons. So last year we had the music festival, which was absolutely incredible, and I hope they bring it back sometime. We have the theme season, so Halloween and Christmas. Unlike you have like at Walt Disney World, these are all included in your park ticket admission. There's no, like after hours event that you have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on going. They're included. You have, your Halloween parade, your Christmas parade, all the decorations. They go full out in the seasons, and I can't wait to go to Christmas one this year. But I've been to the Halloween one, and it was incredible. The parades are amazing as well. We have Stars on Parade at the moment and A Million Splash of Colour, which, unlike other shows, A Million Splash of Colour is basically a show and a parade. It starts as a parade. There's a whole show in front of the castle. It's incredible. And yeah, it's just amazing. Unlike Disneyland, although it has the same kind of charm and rides as Disneyland, it's much bigger. There's more space to breathe. Crowds are managed better because the paths are much wider. It's just better. There's fewer visual crowds. You can actually feel the magic without the stress of people everywhere. I'm just going to have some water because I'm like, with all the stuff, because Disneyland Paris is just so great. Okay. So you've got your fireworks shows as well. So currently we now have 2. So we've got on the new Disney Adventure World, we've got Cascades of Light, which has water drones and fireworks, water projections, and yeah, it looks incredible. I can't wait to see it in person. I know the foolish mortals have already seen it in person. I'm very jealous. We've also got Tales of Magic, which used to be included drones, but unfortunately we don't have those anymore. But I must say, I've seen this show without drones and fireworks when the weather was a bit bad, and it was incredible without. So I'm going to say that show doesn't necessarily need the drones to be, as it is. It's just beautiful. And I will quote now what Dean said. It is the best castle show he's ever seen, and he has visited every single Disney park. So I think that says it all about the shows at Disneyland Paris. You've got unique experiences that you can't get anywhere else. So obviously we got the Castle Dragon, we've got Adventure Isle Caves. There's a full walkthrough there. It's amazing. You've got the caves, you've got like a rope bridge. There's so much to explore. You don't need to be on the ride to have a good day. I did a lot of the walkthrough attractions a few weeks ago, and they were amazing. I had a great time, and I didn't have to set foot on a ride during those hours that I did those. You've got a Nautilus walkthrough that is really detailed. I'm really good with the Discoveryland theming. You've also got an Alice in Wonderland maze, but it's the original Alice in Wonderland, which is arguably better. You've got kind of like, because you're in France, so there's a more romantic vibe also, but also some of the rides like your Phantom Manor are slightly darker and have moodier storytelling. And I find it hits differently than the other parks, like emotionally. You could say it's closer to Walt's original vision, as it's built with artistry and not just capacity in mind. We've got so many details, like you've got, when you're in Fantasyland, you've got Cinderella Carriage and like a wishing well, and there's so much little details, especially the shops as well. Always look up in all the areas of Disneyland Paris and you'll see some little detailing that Imagineering have put in. It is amazing. One thing I must say as well, it's in Central Europe, so there's easy links throughout to go to Disneyland Paris. You know, it's really easy to visit, especially from the UK. And also, it is the cheapest Disney park to visit from the UK, which makes it so much more accessible. Because if you wanted to go to Walt Disney World, it's just not accessible anymore because of how expensive it is. But Disneyland Paris, you can do it on a budget and, you know, get a really cheap deal. One thing that I've also noted is accessibility. So people with disabilities, it is the best one to go to if you've got any additional needs. You've got the Priority Pass, which is really easy to apply for, and the accessibility at Disneyland Paris is amazing. You've got the separate queue lines, you've got the separate areas for parades and fireworks. And I've heard a lot of good things about that Priority Pass. However, in other parks, I've heard it's a nightmare in Tokyo and I've heard it's a nightmare at Walt Disney World. I can't, you know, give proper, you know, things about that because I haven't got one myself. But I've heard really, really good things about Disneyland Paris. So that's one thing as well that makes it more accessible than any other Disney park worldwide. The weather. Yes, it's kind of like our UK weather. However, you're not sweating all the time like you are in the other parks. Like literally all these other parks, it is humid and hot most of the time. Whereas Disneyland Paris, you can layer kind of thing. It's, you know, more suitable for us. Yeah, it can be, you know, raining or whatever, but Disneyland Paris has a lot of canopies. And they built in a lot more canopies recently with like the Tower of Terror queue line, and Cases has like more of a canopy bit. And you've got the arcades at Main Street. You've got Discovery Arcade and Liberty Arcade. So if it's raining, you've got those to walk through instead of the Main Street. Also, it helps with crowds with those arcades in place. What else have we got here? Obviously, I've talked about your caves, your walkthroughs, your hidden paths. You've got on-site hotels, and all of these, except Davy Crockett, are walkable. And there is buses as well if you don't want to walk a little bit further. However, these are all really good. I've stayed at quite a few of them, and they're all really nicely themed. Obviously, now we've got Adventure World. Yes, Studios has been like the weakest park globally. However, it's now got some very exciting things happening. We've now had the name change to Disney Adventure World with an expansion of the park. So we've now got Adventure Way, Adventure Bay, and we've got World of Frozen, we've got the Rapunzel ride, we've got the English Gardens. There's so much exciting things coming, and we're getting the first ever Lion King land with a Lion King log flume attraction, which looks absolutely incredible. I'm very excited for it. So we've had the biggest turnaround. It's kind of like a big comeback story for this Disney park. And I absolutely love the park. It's got really good attractions, although it is smaller. It is now, I would say, a full day park, because there always was the argument that Studios is a half day. But now I would say it is a full day park because you've got this big expansion and there's so much to do. We're getting a parade there as well, like we used to. This is going to be a princess parade. We've got attractions like Flight Force. There's lots of different types of attractions out there. We've got Crush's Coaster, which is, you know, you don't have that anywhere else. You've got the best Tower of Terror. And we've got like a good balance now. So you'd say like your main park, Disneyland Park, has the atmosphere and the classic magic we know that Disney has. However, our second park now has, you know, your modern IPs and your thrills in there as well. So before I finish off, I'm just going to say what people said that Disneyland Paris does better than the rest of the parks worldwide. Obviously, we've got the daytime shows, which I've mentioned. Someone said about Christmas, and with the weather, it actually can snow. So it feels more magical that you can be cold at Christmas time with it being Christmas time. Someone said about the disability access being the best than any other Disney parks. The songs for the parades are better than Walt Disney World, someone said. I can definitely agree with that one. Entertainment again. Someone said our community. Obviously, we've met so many people from Disneyland Paris. Obviously, we did the group trip recently. There's such a lovely community with Disneyland Paris. Obviously, a lot of us have annual passes. Unfortunately, not myself, but a lot of people do. And, you know, a lot of people meet up there. It's such a lovely atmosphere. Someone said the mushroom soup at Disneyland Hotel is one of the best things, so that was a bit random. I need to try that. They said the castle with the dragon and the shops and the gallery. Big Thunder Mountain was mentioned 3 times. Someone said the flowers. Obviously, it's springtime at the moment, so it does look lush at the moment. Again, the castle, the themed queues and ride exteriors, pirates, for example. Theming and immersion is a lot better. Better sight lines, especially in Frontierland. Tales of Magic is unmatched. And then for what is your favourite thing about Disneyland Paris? People said like Main Street at night. DLP is the most beautiful park. Someone said the fireworks. Other people said fireworks. The nostalgic, homely, magical feeling. I think a lot of people, it was our first park we ever visited here in the UK. So we've all got the nostalgic element. It's what got us into Disney, probably. Like Disney parks, going to Disneyland Paris as a child is, you know, what made it for me. And I know for a lot of people. Other people said the beauty of it. The fact it's not overwhelming, you can go easily without any plans, which is something I really like as well. You don't have to do a lot of booking in advance. You know, you can just go and have a spontaneous day and just make the most out of it that way. There's not all this stress beforehand that I found when I was booking Walt Disney World. You don't have to go in with a massive plan and like a to-do list and all that. You can just take it as it comes. And then I have some comebacks for the other parks because I was like, I'm going to get grilled here. So for Walt Disney World, you could say, oh, it's bigger, it's better. But have you got like the quality? Is it quality over quantity or quantity over quality with Walt Disney World? Is the castle pretty? Yeah, but does it have the walkthroughs and the dragon and stuff that Disneyland Paris has? No, it doesn't. You know, with it being bigger, you have to go on more transport. There's more planning, more stress. Disneyland Paris, if you want to head over to the other park for a few hours, just walk over. If you want to go into Disney Village or back to your hotel for a bit, just walk over. Dead simple, dead straightforward. With Tokyo Disney, like, is it as visually rich as Disneyland Paris? The Castle Park, in comparison, Disneyland Paris, I would say, is much better. You've got the execution there in Tokyo, but I think Paris, you just got the artistry, and it's just chef's kiss, like in France, you know, oui, oui, ratatouille. You've got Ratatouille as well. You're like, that is the original Ratatouille attraction, and it's much better. You've got the whole land. It's had the upgrades recently. It's just amazing. You could say at Disneyland, like, walked here. Yeah, but it's smaller, it's tighter, it's more crowded. And Paris's versions of the rides are just much better and visually stunning. Shanghai Disney, it's very modern. It's got impressive tech, yeah, but it's less cohesive overall, more IP heavy. You know, you just the castle is huge, but it doesn't have the same magic and storytelling as Disneyland Paris. And with Hong Kong, it just doesn't have the same depth of lands and atmosphere, unfortunately. It's a smaller park. There's only one of them. Less to explore, really. So, yeah, that is my argument. I have tried my best here. Please, Disneyland Paris.
So I'm as a judge, I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna pick something. I'm gonna pick a part here, right? I'm gonna pick the word you said there was quality. You stated the word quality there, right? Now I'm gonna go to a photo that landed on your Instagram, a picture of you and Dean by the Rex in Toy Story Land. Okay. Now, if quality is the word we're gonna look at here, I would suggest we look at the paintwork of behind that, because quality is not it. Quality. Okay. I will sit there and I'll ask the question.
Can we see the picture?
If it will let me, it won't. But if you can zoom in on that E, look at that E underneath there. Half of that blue is gone. All of the.
I mean, kids play with toys. If I look at kids' toys, I'm not going to be funny, but they're not going to be the most perfect paint job. If you go into Andy's room, they're going to all be like scratched or anything because he's played with them so much.
I would say. So the first question I'm going to ask is, how does it feel to represent what I would deem is the worst maintained Disney park out of all of them? Because Paris is. I don't mean to throw it in a bad way. If we look at it realistically, in Walt Disney World's not far behind it nowadays, but Paris is the worst upkept park of them all. Right? So when we use the word quality, rides, Ratatouille is debatable regardless of which version you go on. It's I've said this on my podcast a million times. You can't polish that turd.
It's really good.
It's not. It's awful. Oh, it's so boring. It's so bad. Anyway, my point is, how does it feel to represent a park that it has in its recent years had the glow up it's needed, but in its early years was heavily abused by its non-Disney owners, which it was. So as someone who's a really big fan, I love Disney. Like you, it's the first park I ever went to. Love it. I'm such a love for that park. To see it kind of get pile drived into the ground was such a sad thing to watch, and to watch it kind of build back up is great. Like Adventure World, all that expansion so desperately needed in that park, but only until recently did. One other thing I noticed is you see that Pixar sticker they put on the walls by Cars and Crush's Coaster, and it was just falling apart. It was just in pieces. And regardless of where you go, whether it's Tokyo, California, Disney has a standard that should be set, and Paris does not meet that standard sometimes. So I guess the question is kind of how do you feel about that? Would you disagree about that maintenance level, or would you agree with it?
Well, I see constantly refurbishments taking place, and I see the efforts are being made. Obviously, it is a park that has always had a lot of budget cuts, and there's no question about that. I think we're having a good comeback at the moment, and we're seeing the things that need to be done being done.
No, I just picked up on something that you mentioned there in terms of the parades that Halloween time, the Phantom Manor characters are out on the parade as well. And this is, Hannah always tells me to get a life when I see these. But what bugs me sometimes in Disneyland Paris, and I'm interested in your opinion, is how badly sometimes they use voice actors and voice characters. For example, you go to the Web Shooter and you've got on screen the guy who plays Peter Parker, Tom Holland, and he's being dubbed into French. And then when you look at the Phantom Manor, it's got a wonderful spiel that was recorded by Vincent Price, who was an absolute legend. And then the Phantom character is being put on a float, and instead of using the Vincent Price voice tracks, they just put the ghost host on it. And it just always throws me off. Like, that's the Phantom. That's not the ghost host. Why is the Phantom talking like the ghost host and going, "Welcome, foolish mortals"? You don't say "Welcome, foolish mortals." You say "Welcome, curious friends." What do you think about that? The usage of voice actors and voice characters and audio in general, spoken audio in Disneyland Paris?
If I'm going to be honest, that's something I haven't noticed myself. But I think with a lot of things, you're working with French, English, and obviously with it being in Europe, you've got other people of different languages as well. So it's always going to be something that's going to be a hurdle for the rides and attractions to make sure it's cohesive. But yeah, I've not noticed that myself, really.
I'd also like to add in here two things. One is I do think that I was going to say that this park got off to a rough start, which it did, but mine did too.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go there because Disneyland also had a really rough start. But I will say Disneyland Paris has had the roughest continuous life. It has always been sort of up and down. And like we just mentioned, it is kind of getting better. It is getting the attention it needs now. Adventure World's getting all these new upgrades, so is Disneyland Paris, which is good, and I'm glad about that. But it has been sort of the problem child of the Disney parks ecosystem, because every other park kind of had a rough start and then kind of got a revamp and was good. Like even DCA had that rough start and then they kind of redid it and added Buena Vista, and it was a beautiful park, and then they ruined it, but that's a different story. So I will put that in, but I'd also like to say, as a plus side, I think Disneyland Paris achieves the same effect that Disneyland California does, where you get people that are local or near local, like they're a few hours away, and they'll make the pilgrimage a few times a year, right? Like people in surrounding states to Disneyland, they'll go like every year, like even if it is a 12-hour drive, And so I think that park has this really special community of people who do just love it and who did grow up going there and just keep going there because that's where they go. So I think for me that is one plus of that park, is that it does have sort of a more special community than say some other parks do.
I think again it's because it's so accessible and affordable for people. The annual passes as well are quite affordable. You only have to go like a few times a year and you've made the money's worth. So I do find
Man,
that's a big plus for that Disney park.
That sounds nice. Yes, AC.
Cars road trip. Tell me more.
Okay, so this is a weak one, I am going to say. It did used to be the Studio Tram Tour, which was amazing. Obviously now we know about studios, it's had a bit of a rough patch. I do genuinely think that area will be turned into a new land for Adventure World. So yeah, I know it's a rough ride at the moment. People do love it though, and it still is quite popular. But I think
that's the strange thing. They love it. I went on it. I never forget. I went on it and I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah,
you've got Catastrophe Canyon, and then it's just nothing.
Well, that's a good part, though.
That bit's phenomenal. That bit's iconic. Yeah, it's great. I love that bit, but the rest of it doesn't really make sense. No. I'd like to ask about
one thing with rethemes. It's sometimes a hit and miss thing with rethemes.
Absolutely. So I want to go to resorts, because obviously there are a good amount of resorts at Disneyland Paris. So talk me through. Let's not talk Disneyland Hotel, because obviously we know the iconic of what that is and how special it is, having that level of park view for that. So let's talk. So for me, I mean, you can use Disneyland Paris. You're the best resort that you've stayed at, or the best resort you think that is, and why those resorts are the best resorts.
Okay, so out of the ones I've stayed at Newport Bay, Sequoia Lodge, and Cheyenne. I've not stayed at the others yet. I think out of those, obviously Sequoia Lodge is having a refurb at the moment, which is much needed. So I think that will be probably my favourite then. It is one of my favourites at the moment, but I think obviously it did need the refurb and stuff. I say Cheyenne. It's Toy Story theme, it's Wild West theme, and it's a great value for money as well. It's one of the cheap hotels to stay at, so it's great for families. I'd say the theme in there, you've got kind of like the Frontierland theme in. Just a great all-rounder hotel. It's got everything you need. And it's walkable, or you can take a bus if you don't want to take a walk.
I think for the price that you pay for the hotels, it's really good value that they give you your park ticket and your breakfast included within it. Sorry, they don't anymore, do they?
You get your park ticket, but you don't get your breakfast now.
Oh man, that's a big perk that you lost.
But you do get early hours, unlike at California.
Yeah, you get an extra hour of Magic time.
Dang it!
So there.
But you don't get the evening hours like you do at certain Walt Disney World resorts.
But you have to be deluxe to do that. So again, you're priced out most of the time for Walt Disney World because it's so expensive to go there and so expensive if you want to stay at deluxe. I could never ever do that.
I will say Disneyland Paris is expensive. Like if you stay in a Disney hotel, I find that. So I didn't grow up going to Disneyland Paris. I went to Disney World. We never stayed on site at Disney World, but I've never stayed on site at Disneyland Paris because I look at the price, and for me, I'd rather pay to go to Walt Disney World. So how would you convince me to stay and do the full Disneyland Paris?
Okay, so I've done both, staying on site for Walt Disney World and staying on site for Disneyland Paris, and the price difference is enormous. Thousands and thousands price difference. I couldn't. So I would, if it's just more affordable for me to go to Disneyland Paris. How long I had to save to go to Walt Disney World is years to go, so it's that again, it is a big chunk in difference.
You mentioned before how easy it is to get the disability pass.
Yeah.
So easy that a lot of the time that the priority line is longer than the normal line. What do you have to say about this?
I've never seen that in all the times I've gone.
Especially for Crush's Coaster, it's quite long and defies the point of a priority line.
Again, it's not something I've seen myself.
And you also mentioned about the beautiful castle, and it's great for taking photos. How easy is it to get a photo in front of this castle without being bombarded by a family?
There's lots of different places, all angles. So now you've got the area with the wishing well. That's a great angle there. The castle stage area is great. There's so many lovely places to go to without people behind you. I mean, there's like the iconic one that everyone talks about where it's closer near the dragon entrance. There's so many places for a castle photo.
So you have to go around the side for a nice photo, yes?
No, not necessarily. You've got the plaza area as well. I mean, you're annual pass holders for Disneyland Paris, so you can't really say you don't like it.
Do you have photographers?
Wait, is it not?
What was
Do you
that?
have
Sorry, Lucy?
photographers? Do you have
We do
photographers
have
like
a few
in Disney World?
photographers, yeah. And I've
A few.
noticed with Disney Adventure World, we're getting more photographers. However, yeah, I'd say with the photo pass, it's not probably something I would personally buy myself.
What if I like taking pictures myself? I'm a photographer. I love to stay late and take photographs on tripods and do all sorts of things like that. That's really my bread and butter.
Yeah,
Is your park going to
unfortunately,
cater
that's
to
a health
me?
and safety issue. So, people tripods aren't. You're not allowed to take the tripods into the parks at the moment. It's deemed as health and safety, which I think is an important thing to keep the health and safety of guests in the park top priority. But you can still take your camera.
So crowded?
What was that? Sorry.
Is that because the park's so crowded?
No, it's just health and safety. You don't really want people with like big selfie sticks prodding around and stuff, and people tripping over tripods. It's just a health and safety thing.
We seem
But
to
there
do
are
pretty fine in California.
drones flying over the head when they've stopped it in Walt Disney World because it hit someone.
Yeah. What's
So
the
I will-
opinion of what's the opinion of food at Disneyland Paris?
I must say it's not the best aspect. However, they are improving. Obviously, you've got the new Regal View restaurant, which I know Hannah and Laszlo absolutely loved. You've got a lot of food booths there over now at Adventure Bay Lake. They are improving. I know for vegans as well, they are improving with that as well. I know with every like quick service or table service location, you have got good options for those. But yeah, it's not the strongest point, I must say, but you're not going to go hungry because there is great options there.
How's crowd management in Disneyland Paris?
Crowd management usually is pretty good. I've never had an issue myself. Obviously, it's always going to be crowded at the end of the night, when you're heading home or whatever. But yeah, I've never really had an issue with the crowds. Cast members are really good and efficient.
How come Disneyland Paris can't have roaming characters like they have in California?
Again, it's just guests have ruined it because people, just see the characters and run up to them and bombard them. So that is unfortunately a guest thing that they had to enforce. So there's no more Roman characters. However, in Avengers Campus, you can get a lot of the Avengers walking about.
Do you feel like guest behavior is affecting the overall experience in Disneyland Paris?
I'd say so. Obviously, with the Roman characters, we saw that go because of that. But I don't think guest behaviour is something that you should kind of like... You're going to get that everywhere. Guests, you can't control the guests, really, with that aspect of a Disney park or any park.
It just seems like Paris.
I'd agree with that, Olivia. I'd say that you can't control people in that sense.
Yeah.
You get it in Disney World, you get it in California. I've seen it from all walks, even on the cruise lines. Whoever you bring on there, they're paying guests. There's a level of entitlement that they bring in. Yeah, you can't control that, unfortunately. People ruin it for everyone.
Yeah.
Does anyone else or the judges have any more questions for Olivia before we move on to Hong Kong?
I'm all good, thank you.
Okay.
God.
No,
We will.
you're totally
Well done, Olivia.
It's always going to be
Alright.
a challenge with the one that doesn't have all the money to do all the best things.
Yeah.
So
I will
Well-
say that
I
you
don't
made
think
some
on Paris
incredible
proud.
arguments.
Yeah,
Like
Thank
you really like you were probably more informed than all of us were
Your
on
case
our
was
Yeah.
solid.
facts.
Very
Thank
well done,
you.
Olivia. Very well done, Olivia. That was a phenomenal job. Well, now
Yeah.
we will move on to our friends, the Foolish Mortals, for Hong Kong.
Yeah, exactly. It's up to us to introduce you the best park that you can have, especially in Asia.
I feel
That's
like
Hong
it goes
Kong.
under the radar a lot,
Yeah.
but some solid points. Like the natural beauty of Hong Kong. It's the only park surrounded by mountains, and you don't even realize it till you're there. It's just gorgeous, and the waterfront as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. It's obviously on Lanto Island, so there's water all around. If you stay in any of the resorts, you literally walk into your backyard and you see water, the waterfront, and it just creates such an atmosphere. It's so beautiful. Whenever if you want to walk to the parks, which you can go and do so from any of the resort hotels, you can walk by the waterfront, and it's something that you rarely get unless you pay a massive price. For example, in Walt Disney World in Grand Floridian, you can do that, but it's gonna come at a price. But in Hong Kong, you have these amazing views, literally whatever you're looking at. You go onto Main Street, and the first time you step onto Main Street, USA, and you see the castle and the mountains behind, and you're just like, I've never seen a Main Street, USA as beautiful as this is. And at nighttime, when it's lit up, it's absolutely next level. And talking about the castle,
Yeah, as a backdrop for World of Frozen as well. Like the mountains, they're not man-made like in Paris, they're real mountains. It just adds to the beauty. And the castle is the only castle, like none of the other parks have this castle. It's made after all the different Disney princesses.
and
First, yeah. First they copied California, and then they realized how rubbish the California castle was, and they scrapped that, built onto it with all the different princesses, and it's created something truly unique.
And wherever you look at the castle, there's not a spot on the castle that doesn't have a reference to one of the queens or one of the princesses. It's just so beautiful.
You could spend a full day looking at the castle.
Yes, absolutely. All the columns, the ceiling decorations, the outside, everything is. You could literally spend, as Hannah said, a day on it just trying to find
All the references.
all the references, and it just makes it absolutely beautiful. And the whole hub area is absolutely is stunning. You've got photographers there who are taking pictures, and you don't have to fight through the crowds. You can get magnificent photos with no one else on it but the two of you or yourself and the castle and whatever decoration they have. For example, for the 20th anniversary, there's a beautiful kind of ornament there that blends in really, really nicely with the castle. And if you're talking about the castle shows.
The castle shows in front of the castle, so there's the hub, but then in between the hub and the castle, it's like a slope. But it's just a perfect area to watch the show, and no one has a bad view. You can be stood at the back and have the best view.
Yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful.
You can show up a minute before the show and get a perfect spot.
Yeah. And this is potentially because it goes under the radar, so the crowd levels are not bad. Whenever cast members are saying that, oh, it's a really busy day in a park, it's kind of like...
You're talking a 20-minute wait.
You're talking about 20 to 40 minutes wait max for the rides, and the kind of crowd levels that you would see on a moderate day in any of the parks in Walt Disney World or in Disneyland Paris. And that these are the busy days. And it's such a shame, I think, for the park, because I think Hong Kong is one of the most kind of progressive park where they listen to what the fans want and they embrace what they are doing. They said, we already said about the castle. People said, well, the castle's a bit rubbish. They done a new castle. People are saying that there's not enough entertainment. And then they started putting entertainment everywhere. There's new live entertainment now in one of the lands in Grizzly Gulch with Chip and Dale and Clarice. There's live entertainment all the time in their Tomorrowland. And a lot of times there's a grievance on, and we heard it today that, oh, they don't know, for example, in Walt Disney World what they want to do with Tomorrowland. Here in Hong Kong, they said, we're going to make it Marvel. That's our Tomorrowland. And they embraced it. And they said, we're going to make it Marvel. We're not going to make an Avengers campus. We're going to make it Tomorrowland, but we're going to make it Marvel. And I think it's great because they just accepted it, and that's going to be. It's not our biggest land, but we'll do the best rides that we can put in there.
They stuck to a theme, unlike everyone else.
And they've got rides there in Tomorrowland that you don't get anywhere else. For example, you get the Ironman attraction, Ironman, what is it called? Ironman Tech Showcase, which is basically
And I'm a meet and greet.
that's not what I was going to say, but all right. I was going to say that they've got it's the same as Star Tours, but it's Ironman themed. And then they've got the Stark
Oh, yeah, that
Expo,
one.
which is the only proper Ironman meet and greet that you can have anywhere else. And then you also get like a laser blaster kind of ride, Ant-Man
Themes
and the
at
Wasp.
Ant-Man,
Yeah, Nano Battle. And the three rides connected, they follow a kind of like a loose storyline. And it's absolutely outstanding because you don't have it anywhere else, that you go on one ride and it references the other one that you've just been on, or the meet and greet. And it creates such an immersive kind of environment for you. So that's Tomorrowland for you.
So Hong Kong has two lands that are non-IP. We're talking Grizzly Gulch and Mystic Point. Now, Mystic Point is home to little baby Albert, who is the most adorable, sweet little baby monkey that all of you should worship.
Yes, absolutely. And they're going to have, from me, there's going to be finally, they listened again to the people, there's going to be an Albert meet and greet. That's going to be, I think, one of the very, very rare occasions when you've got a non-IP character created for it and the park is embracing it. And it's not only going to be Albert, he's going to be joined by his travel companion, his
Lord
boss,
Mystic.
Lord Mystic, Lord Albert, Lord Henry Mystic, sorry. And they're going to be meeting and greeting there, and they've done a ride which is their version of Phantom Manor or Haunted Mansion, Mystic Manor.
It's
which is-
different.
it's completely different, but the level of detail that went into that ride is absolutely outstanding. The level of detail that's gone into that non-IP land that they built from scratch, what Imagineers created, was amazing. And you don't really get an awful lot of rides, an awful lot of lands where the soundtrack is composed by Tim Burton. And you walk into Mystic Manor and you just straight away know that it's a Tim Burton, because it's just so, he even appears on one of the paintings. And that adds
A lot of
again
Easter eggs in it.
yeah, loads of Easter eggs. And
So the other IP land is Grizzly Gulch, which it's got a ride, and I'm gonna struggle to pronounce this. Big Grizzly Mountain Runaway Mind Cars?
not mine.
Mine. Big Grizzly whatever. Basically, it's Big Thunder Mountain and Everest mixed together. So it like goes backwards like Everest. It's just so cool, and it's got cute bears on it.
Yep, and it's basically the best Big Thunder Mountain that is not a Big Thunder Mountain.
You're just copying each other. Hong Kong's being original.
Yep, it's amazing, and now they're expanding on there as well, because they've got Chip Dale and Clary's show, as I mentioned before. They've got cool snacks, and if you're talking about food in Hong Kong Disney,
Big portion.
massive portions.
Yummy, yummy.
It's delicious food. It's not just your standard burgers and chips and nuggets. You get local specialties. You get different kind of. You love ramen. You get ramen everywhere, and they are for the price that you pay. It's not particularly cheap. It's not expensive either, but the portions that you get are absolutely massive. So you go to a quick service restaurant and that fills you up for the entire day. And there's a lot of seating here. There's no fighting for the seats.
Yeah.
It's not kind of like
If you need to rest, you can.
it's not like Cafe Hyperion that you get your food and then you're walking
Fighting
around
for
for
your
an
life.
hour and a half fighting for your life, trying to find a seat, which we've done 2 weeks ago. And by the time we found one, the food is cold. So the food is absolutely outstanding there in Hong Kong, in the hotels as well, and inside the park.
Hong Kong Disneyland is one of the cheapest ones to visit. We said the food's a bit expensive, but everything else cheap. The merch is cheaper, the hotels are cheaper, your park passes are cheaper. We brought annual passes for, what was it, a 4 or 5 day trip?
Yep.
Money's worth in that one trip.
And if it comes to annual passes, Hong Kong's got the best annual pass scheme, hands down, from comparing to all the other parks, because you get so many perks with it. You get merchandise discount, which depends on your tiers, like how much discount you get. And sometimes during the year, they do these extra shopping events when all the pass holders get an extra 15% off. So when we went in November, we got straight away 25% off everything. In your birthday month, you get free meals, you get extra discounts as well. And they've got, what's the best thing is, the Magic Access Rewards discount. So if you visit the park 3 times, you get a limited edition pin. And if you visit the parks 10 times, you get like a kind of like a big medallion kind of thing, a medal that you visited, which is free stuff basically that you get from, which, when do you ever get free stuff in Disney?
Do you remember how much the annual pass cost?
The annual pass, I think for the 2 of us was the gold pass, which is the second highest tier. That was, I think, for the 2 of us, 600, 700 pounds.
For the 2 of us?
For the 2 of us.
That is so cheap.
And merch itself is next level. Asian Parks merch is absolutely outstanding. Just to represent here. The merchandise. They've got all these amazing hats that you can't find anywhere. Dean's got a good few Asian parks in general hats. The fuzzy hats, they are amazing.
My amazing sunglasses.
And of course, they've got Duffy and Friends. Duffy and Friends meet and greet is absolutely amazing. You can meet all the characters. You can get all the merchandise that you want. And when we went,
I was hesitant at first.
We were hesitant at first, but you just get to love these characters so much that you just can't even avoid it whatsoever. And you have to do it. Customer service and all.
Customer service is amazing. People are happy to work there. They are nice to you. They are smiley. They are helpful. They treat you like royalty.
The hotels especially, like if you there's only 3 hotels, but it caters for the amount of tourists that they have. It's never oversold. It's never packed. And the service you get, there's not massive price differences between the hotels. So if you want to be in the bougie one, which we did, the Disneyland Hotel.
That looks like the Grand Floridian.
That looks like the Grand Floridian. You pay a portion of the price. It's cheaper than budget hotels in Disneyland Paris for the same period, for the same amount of days in the peak period. And the service that you get, that you don't move your suitcase once. You don't have to open a single door. Every single cast member says hi to you. They just literally go out of their way to make sure that you feel special. And that is something that even though we had really, really good experiences, we never experienced in any of the other parks, that level of commitment and love for Disney, because they all love Disney and they all love everything that they do. And this makes it just so magical. And what we said is, even though that there's loads of focus on the merchandise, it doesn't feel as commercial to us as the other parks. And it might be because how the cast members are. It might be because there's a whole different culture around, for example, queuing. No one is pushing past you. No one is going to try to take advantage of you looking to the side, and then out of sudden, like 5 people are in front of you in the queue. But it just has such a magical atmosphere that we've never experienced in any of the other Disney parks. And we love Disneyland Paris, we love Walt Disney World, but that kind of magic we never felt anywhere else. I don't think so.
And it smells really good.
It smells amazing everywhere there. And you don't see people smoking everywhere. There are only 2 or 3 smoking areas. They are really, really tiny. 2 smoking areas, yeah. Really, really tiny. But you don't see people smoking or vaping anywhere else. They are there in the smoking areas.
Unlike
they
Disneyland
behave.
Paris.
Yeah. And I have this kind of like bad habit of when I see I smoke, but I hate when people smoke in non-designated areas, because I wouldn't do that. I don't throw my cigarette end away, so I've got this bad habit of making sure that I say something out loud that they hear when I see people just smoking or vaping around in non-designated areas. But there, nothing as such.
What else have we got? There's no language barrier there. Everybody speaks English. And in the shows, if they're speaking Cantonese, most of them are subtitled, which is a cool thing that they do. And another thing that I really enjoy is when you buy something, if you're staying in one of the hotels, they'll send it back to your hotel. Doesn't matter if it's only a pin that you buy. And as far as I'm aware, nowhere else does that. I think Paris might have done it for a bit, but you have to spend a set amount.
But here, like, whatever, it doesn't matter what you spend, they send it back free of charge to the hotel. You pick it up in the evening, absolutely no hassle whatsoever with that. And for us, we buy a lot of merch, so that is so important because we don't have to carry anything around but the stuff that we brought with ourselves.
And World of Frozen in Hong Kong has 2 rides and an indoor show, unlike the brand new one that is a giant area for 1 ride.
And it was quite funny actually, because Hong Kong Disneyland, their director was sending their best wishes to Disneyland Paris on the opening of World of Frozen, and they recorded in the ride that they don't have in Paris. And we were just like, yeah, see, people say it's a short ride. It is a short ride, but it's a great ride, and I think they've got bragging rights for that.
And something that none of the other parks have is the Dreammakers bench. All of the parks have the partner statue. This is Hong Kong's version, which is Walt and Mickey on a bench in Fantasyland.
And with little books there next to it, with Walt's handwriting, talking about how the thought of the first park came from his hand when he saw his children there being on a carousel, and he thought about that. This is what we should be doing. This is what Disneyland should be, where children and parents can spend the day together and have a great time. And this statue is right in front of the carousel. You can take photos with it and all, and that just encompasses, I think, Walt's vision, and I think that he would be proud of the park and proud of what they achieve and how they are progressing and how much they listen to the feedback of the guests, because I think that is second to none. And the new thing is there, obviously the park is undergoing an expansion now again, and they're going to further expand the Tomorrowland area, and it's going to be still Marvel, and they're going to, a lot of people said like, well, in Hong Kong you don't have Tower of Terror, and they said, we don't have Tower of Terror. Do you know what? We're going to do Tower of Terror, but it's going to be Marvel themed. So it's straight away, it's going to be the first actually specifically designed Marvel drop attraction, which I think is going to be, going by the visuals, is going to look like the Avengers Tower. It's going to be absolutely outstanding. So when it opens, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have to go.
I did not know that.
New information for you.
Are we open to questions?
And I think we are open to questions. I'm going to take this off because these hats, they are really cool, but they are very hot.
What about a second gate? Tell me about that.
Why would we need a second gate?
I don't think it's needed.
I think it is. I think it's
all
needed.
Yeah, I think there's not enough there.
Yeah, I was looking at the attraction list. So Hong Kong has what is it? It's said about with meet and greets, it's about 45 attractions. Disneyland is twice that much with meet and greets. I would say I would call your park a half-day park, which is not a nice thing to say about a park.
That's exactly what we thought about it before we went. And when we got there, we just realized that there's so, and maybe just because I'm getting older as well, but I feel like now that there's so much more to the Disney parks than just the rides and attractions themselves. And that's exactly the same what I thought about Disney Adventure World. Before we went, I was saying it like, well, the park is doubling in size and they've only put 2 measly rides in there. And we went there and we were walking out and I was saying it to Hannah and we said it on the vlog as well. Do you know, I was so wrong, because being there now, my perception changed. It doesn't need any more rides. It is somewhere where you can chill, where you can just sit down and people watch. And that was exactly the same in Hong Kong. You can sit down, take pictures, people watch. There's loads of seating area. There's loads of kind of things that you can find, loads of Easter eggs everywhere. And it's really a park that might not be the best for the rides, but for exploration, it is absolutely outstanding.
There's still plenty of great rides.
And they've got plenty of great rides as well. Like to me now, if they had nothing else there but Mystic Manor and Big Grizzly Runaway Mine Cars, I would still be happy and I would still be able to, I think, spend weeks there, even with the lack of rides. And there's loads of character meets, and there are loads of surprise characters and regular characters. which makes it, and a lot of PhotoPass photographers, which is great.
How many days would you say you need to do Hong Kong Disney? Like, because it's such a long flight, so is it worth making a whole trip
Well,
out
sure,
there
we
just
did
for
5
it,
days,
basically?
and I'll be happy to spend even longer there.
Yeah.
Because, like, I never got to, like, try out the hotel pool, never had time for that.
Yeah, never tried all the restaurants in the other hotels, the breakfast options. Each hotel has 2 restaurants at least, and they're all somewhat different to the others. Some of them are character dining, some of them are specialty dining. There's loads that you can do, and even if you spend 1 or 2 days just walking around, you're absolutely fulfilled. Then you can see the Hong Kong skyline from the backyard of the hotels, which is absolutely stunning.
And you'll want to do rides and attractions multiple times. I don't want to go on a ride. It's like, yep, that's a one and done. That's how things become half-day parks. You can, like, yes, it's a small park, but you want to do it again and again because I really like this ride and I want to go on it again.
We've done Big Grizzly 3 times in a row. We kept coming out and going back on because we were
it's so good.
Because it's so good, and we were just like giddy kids, and it's like we have to go back. And we never mentioned the nighttime show as well, Momentous. Momentous is a wonderful technology, a wonderful show that's very advanced in technology. The castle projections are absolutely outstanding. Hannah's mom said, because she's big on Disney, and they've been used to go to Walt Disney World as well and Disneyland Paris when they were smaller, the kids were smaller, and she said that she's never seen castle projection as good as the Hong Kong one, and how immersive it is. Like, it's very similar to Tales of Magic, so it uses fireworks, drones, projections down Main Street, USA as well. And it's just for us, it's one of the best shows. However, I have to admit, and I'm on theme with this one as well, and giving the point to Olivia, that Tales of Magic is, to me, Tales of Magic is the best.
It's emotional.
Yeah.
But what's it called? Momentous. You can stand in so many different places, so you can watch it every single night. You stand in front of the castle, you stand at the end of Main Street. It's a different experience each time, because if you're closer you can see the projections better. If you're further back you can see the drones better. One night we watched it from behind the castle and could still see the drones great.
How many hours would you need at the shopping village when you get out of the park? Do you need like half a day to see all the shops? Is there a lot of shops when you're not inside the park?
Well, the shops in the park, why would we need more?
Exactly.
Well,
there's enough people in the shops inside the park. You don't want more people outside in the shops as well.
What if I've got a half day?
Or
Yeah.
anything?
No, there is no downtown Disney or anything there in Hong Kong. There's only one little shopping booth outside the park by the entrance. But we don't think that is needed to have anything.
That's just to
else
buy
in
your
there.
ears before you go in.
Yeah.
But why would you need anything outside when you can buy everything inside? If I'm paying to go to a Disney park, I don't want to go leave the park for something that I don't have to pay to go into. If I'm paying some money to get in, I'm going to stay in.
Oh, but what if I've got like a few hours before my flight and I wanted to do a little Disney shopping? This is all
go
stuff
to
to give my money to
Hong Kong.
someone else. That's a bummer.
There's a shop in the hotel.
Come on, Jackson, be realistic. Who's got money left before you're taking?
I
your
do.
flight back home?
I have money. I have this much left. I want
In
one
that
thing
case,
more.
you can go to the Disney store at the airport
If it's open.
if it's open.
Okay, in our defense, our flight was at 1 a.m. That's why it wasn't open, of course. But if you go to the airport at normal time,
I've watched all the vlogs. I know.
It's so beautiful. Like, honestly, like it's for us, it's one of the most magical parks. And Hannah's, since she was a child, she's done Walt Disney World. When I was little, we used to do Euro Disney with my family, and when I went to Hong Kong, and even though I've been to Walt Disney World as well, and I loved it. When I went to Hong Kong, I just said, like, that's always going to be more special to me than any of the other parks, because it just feels so magical and so serene, so peaceful, so as pure as you could go for Disney.
I'll be honest, Hong Kong Disney is not my expertise of knowledge, but that might kind of sing to the fact that it's flies so under the radar. I'll play the advocate of the hotel. So I've spent while I've been listening to you guys. I've looked at the hotels. I'll be blunt, like I always am. It just looks like a rip-off Grand Floridian in one of them and a rip-off Aulani in the other with one original hotel. So obviously I appreciate you guys wouldn't have stayed there. So tell me, you stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. Tell me why it's as good as like the Grand Floridian in Florida or better, apart from, like just the actual hotel itself. What is it that makes it so good? Because all I can see from photos is it tries to be the Grand Floridian, but doesn't look like it quite made it.
It's a chance to stay at the Grand Floridian for people who cannot afford to stay at the Grand Floridian.
But you've got to pay really substantial flights to get over there.
It depends really on where you're going from, because what we've been looking at for us, our problem is that we live in the north, we live in Liverpool, so our only option is Manchester. And we were looking at flights. If we were to go from London, you can get the flights a lot cheaper than from here. And in that case, you can reduce the cost of the entire trip very, very significantly, to the point where you would even consider, like, should I go for a week to Disneyland Paris, or a little bit more would I go to Hong Kong? But for us, I think yes, it does look like a rip of Grand Floridian or Aulani, but what you get there, the level of customer service that we got in the Disneyland hotel was absolutely second to none. From the moment that we stepped in there, we didn't have to queue for checking in. It was very, very quick. There's no check-in for concierge. You get the exact same kind of services that you would expect from a high-end Disney hotel like the Grand Floridian, but at the portion of the price. And they've got all these little extra activities. So there's children's activities, which we obviously didn't partake in. And the one thing that is very, very unique in the Disneyland hotel is Tai Chi with the Disney characters. So every morning at 9 o'clock, they bring out one of the characters that could be either Mickey Mouse, Mickey, Goofy, or Donald, and you do Tai Chi with them, and then you can take photos with them, which is something that we've never seen before. And at the same time, and then you've got a restaurant there in the hotel as well that we went to, the Crystal Lotus, that does the viral Disney dim sum.
That's so cute.
Which is really, really cute. So you try like loads of kind of foods that you potentially never tried before, like jellyfish. We tried. I wouldn't have it again, but we tried. And then you get all these bao buns and dim sum in the shape of all Disney characters.
The savory Mickey pancakes.
So cute. But I think what really makes it worth is the level of service that you get, and how stress-free you are there when you're there. So we were stressing over, for example, when we got in there about the luggage, because we were just come off the flight. It's 7 a.m. We're going in the park. We have to change. How are we gonna do that? And they were just like, just chill. What you can do. Whatever you want, you take out of the bag. You go by the pool. You can have a shower by the pool because you're staying in the hotel. You can change there in the pool area, in the showers. You had like high-end, what was it? What's it called? The soap brand that we had in the room.
Rivals?
What is the expensive brand? It starts with R.
Is it Rituals?
Rituals, that's it.
They've got their own ritual line. And Rituals were down there, like shower gel, body lotion, hair shampoo, conditioner by the pool, lockable lockers there by the pool, and then it just made it so stress free. They were just like, and it was mostly the cast members, because they were like, just chill. We sort everything out for you. You get whatever you need from the bag, put in whatever you want. Everything else we sort out. All you need to do is go refreshed, get ready for the park, and we'll see you later. And I think that's what made the hotel for us, not just necessarily the decor.
So you're getting that Walt Disney World Deluxe Resort treatment at a lower price point. Okay, I get that. No, that makes sense. No, that's good. That's what I like to hear. To us, again, I don't know too much about Hong Kong as a park. It's not somewhere I've paid my attention to. So that's probably the only question I can really sort of give at this point.
Yeah, it really goes under the radar, but it's a hidden gem.
Surely there's
Your
a
turn.
monorail connecting all those beautiful resorts to the park that would help you get
They
there.
are
Like, I mean,
walkable distance. You don't
even
need a monorail.
Disneyland has one of those,
Go on
like
a
our
monorail
pokey
for
little
3
California
seconds.
park. Oh, so you just
I'd rather
walk.
you could just walk it. It would be longer to
Oh,
queue for the monorail and get on the monorail and get there and get off than just walking
oh,
over. Every
I
single morning
see.
we walked over from the hotel to the park, and there's coaches as well, themed coaches, so it's always nice.
I
The
guess it's
what?
easy. Just one park, then
Yeah, if there's
more.
only one place to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Which for us it works because it's just you get everything in one place.
Well, thank you so much for sticking with it, everybody. We're on the last one, and then we'll wrap this up. This has been a really good one. This is gonna be great. Okay, Dean, take it away. Take it away with Shanghai. We are ready for you.
Okay. I feel like we're dropping like flies a bit with this, but
Yeah.
almost there. Almost there. So Shanghai Disney opened on 16th of June 2016, and it was authentically Disney and distinctly Chinese. It's the newest of the parks and probably the most modern at the moment until possibly the Abu Dhabi one comes along. It features 8 themed lands. You got the Adventure Isles, you got Gardens of Imagination, Mickey Avenue, Tomorrowland, Treasure Cove, Fantasyland, and Pixar Toy Story Land, and then the newest one, which is Zootopia. It was the first park to get the Tron attraction, as well as a multi-award-winning new version of Pirates of the Caribbean, Battle of the Sunken Treasure, which, as much as I love Disneyland Paris' one, I think Shanghai is the best Pirates, hands down. And they must love it so much because they're going to talking about bringing a version over to Villains Land for the new e-ticket over there. Not to mention, it's the only attraction in the world to be based on Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland movies with the maze. You've also got Challenge Trails at Camp Discovery, which is like the only Go Ape kind of in a Disney park, and you don't have to pay extra to do it. It is quite, one of the courses is pretty intense. We have the largest castle ever. Take that, Disneyland. It's a lot bigger than yours. Called Enchanted Storybook Castle, which has not just one, but 2 attractions in it, and not just a dragon either at Disneyland Paris. We've got a boat ride going under it, Voyage to the Crystal Grotto, and if you walk up the tower, we've got Once Upon a Time walkthrough. Not to mention there's a full-on restaurant in there as well. And it has tapestries and carvings to represent all the princesses inside. So it's not just Hong Kong that has the castle representing the princesses. Shanghai does. And it's huge to fit the best kind of projection show at night. If you want entertainment, the park has it in droves. We've got world-class shows headlined by Illuminate, a nighttime celebration, which has got fireworks, lasers, and projections on the castle. It's got indoor stage productions such as Mickey's Storybook Adventure. You've got Frozen, a sing-along celebration, and the Pirates of the Caribbean Eye of the Storm, Captain Jack's Stunt Spectacular. I was a bit disappointed by that, to be honest. It's impressive to watch, but fully in Chinese, so I didn't understand a word of it, but had some really impressive scenes in there and effects. And it's not just Tokyo and Hong Kong that get Duffy and Friends, as they're hugely popular in this resort. You have looking at like a 3-hour queue to meet them along their version of Main Street in the mornings, and it's got limited time shops that you have to reserve spaces to get into that just sell Duffy merch. So they're huge over there. Halloween and Christmas events are included in the normal ticket price, and the villains take over the Fantasyland, which is quite cool. So maybe the upcoming Villains Kingdom use that as a bit of a tester for what they've got coming up. When the resort opened, it opened with 2 hotels, Disneyland Hotel and Toy Story Hotel, and it's building a boutique third hotel at the moment. And then recently they announced a fourth unnamed hotel and an expansion to the shopping and dining area being built. So if you want shops, we've got them. Hong Kong Disneyland might not have any, but we've got a whole shopping area. The Disneyland Hotel is gorgeously presented across the bay of Wishing Star Lake, where to get from that hotel you can either walk around the lake, it takes about 15-20 minutes, or you can get a ferry boat across. And they've got a huge Donald Duck blow-up sculpture on the lake, which is kind of a bit of a you need to get your photo taken in front of it. And the resort is only just getting started. We've got the Spider-Man land and coaster coming up. I think they only announced it like a year, maybe a year a bit longer ago, and they were only posting last week of like they've got some of the finished track up and things. So they don't take like 5 years to build anything like Disneyland Paris. They get it up pretty quick. And that's not to mention about the rumoured second gate we're getting, which Project Atlas. I think that come the June, the 10th anniversary, I think the announcement is going to be out there. And that's why they were selling little purple figments everywhere as a tester. He's rumoured to be the icon of the new park and Epcot stage version 2 that's coming over. And that is my case for Shanghai Disney.
What about your Main Street? Can you tell me about your Main Street USA?
Yep, so they've got a unique one, Mickey Avenue. And similar to Main Street, but all the shops are themed to different classic Disney characters. It's smaller. It's probably the smallest Main Street that you would ever see. But it's got some cute shops and things. You also do meet and greet on Main Street as well. That's where a lot of the characters are in the morning when you walk in, where you can queue for like 2 hours to have your photo taken with them.
How's the food in Shanghai?
Yeah, it was hard for me being a vegetarian, but thankfully we got this huge shopping complex just outside, which Hong Kong you might not know about. But so we were going there, kind of like you could literally go out the park and go literally walk into the shopping complex. So we were going to like Cheesecake Factory and just kind of having little kind of fries and portions of fries and things just to get through. But food was hard for me. I think Ben, Luke and everyone was all right. But yeah, I did find it a bit tough.
What are the wait times like in Shanghai? Because we have a friend who's from China, and he said, don't go to Shanghai because it's too busy, and that's basically why we chose Hong Kong over it.
No, we didn't find any problem really. We had 3 days there. It was October, so it's kind of like Halloween in full swing. We were walking on to like Pirates in like 10 minutes. Although there was one day, it was a weekend, we went there. The queues were longer, but we did buy they've got a version of a fast pass where you can buy a pack of like 7 of the main attractions and get straight on with those. We also paid to get a viewing area for the nighttime show, which was worth doing, to be honest, because you've got a designated area to watch in. But on the whole, yeah, queues were pretty fine, really. Certainly not anything on the scale of Tokyo Disney. And it's a nice park because you don't have to plan your day. It's kind of all there. You don't have to spend all time on the phone. Although the app was a nightmare with the Wi-Fi there. Had to, you've got to do a bit of research before you go there. But nothing on the scale of Tokyo.
So would we say Shanghai Disney is a Walt envisioned park, or is this a Bob Iger's put my stamp on it type park?
Probably Bob, to be fair. I mean, it has got the essence of Walt, but it is missing, like, it hasn't got the typical Fantasyland, and it is missing a few of the staple attractions. Like, you do go around kind of looking for the Haunted Mansion or Big Thunder and things, and they're not there. But what it has got is amazing, and Zootopia. I think is the best land that any of the Disney parks have done. I think that's why they're trying to work out how to get it over to DCA at the moment instead of Pandora and things, because it is such a good attraction and land. They do it well. It's just very, it's a different Disney. And you've got to take your walking boots because nothing's close. You're like walking like major miles between things, which is good because you're walking off like the popcorn and things that you're eating.
I'm going to ask the same question I asked about Hong Kong. So obviously there's only one gate. So how do you make it worth? How many days would you recommend spending there?
We had 3 days.
Getting it to long point,
we still didn't get everything done, but then we were like doing things like Raging Spirits. We rode that like 3 times, and like most of the things we did like 3 times. Just a couple of like the walkthrough things. Kind of, we just ran out of time. Like you put your must do, like like you do Zootopia as soon as you get in the park. And the good thing about staying there is if you're staying on site, you get early entrance, and which is really good. So we got half an hour earlier in the park when everybody's queuing up outside. But then we found out on the last day that even people that weren't staying at the park, you could actually pay for half an hour early entrance if you wanted it, if you knew what you were doing. So that did work in our advantage quite a bit.
Comparing to the other parks, especially comparing to Disneyland Paris, how affordable is Shanghai in terms of entry, resort hotels, and merchandise?
Okay, so entry is about, I was just Googling it earlier, it's about $70 at the moment for the day. So, I mean, it is cheaper than the American parks.
Wild. That's wild.
Hotel-wise, we did 3 nights at the Disneyland Hotel. That's like the top one there. And we had a suite. Fair enough, there was 3 of us sharing it. And it worked out, it was like £500 each. But for 3 nights in like the top hotel, including breakfast and things, it's, you're not going to be able to stay in one of the top hotels in Orlando for that amount, really. So, yeah, on the whole, merch is cheap as well. It's certainly cheaper than the American parks. I wouldn't say it's as cheap as Tokyo. I think Tokyo has probably been the cheapest one, but it's definitely on par with Hong Kong, I would say.
Would you say there's a language barrier? Because I'm not as clued up on Shanghai, I'll be honest. So is there much in English, or is it all
a lot of it is
Mandarin?
in Mandarin? And the casts are all amazing, but they all have phones with like the translator apps on. So like you're trying to ask them things, and they're saying, "Wait, get their phone up," and then you speak into the phone, and the phone will translate it, and they'll speak into the phone. So it doesn't really cause that much of a problem. But yeah, that was probably one of the hardest ones to get around. But there's ways around it.
Would you say that it was harder than Tokyo? Okay. Because I know Tokyo can be a challenge as well.
No.
Obviously, it's
I
not
think they try more in
primarily for
Tokyo.
English speaking.
Like, I think the cast at Tokyo are amazing. And like the cast at Shanghai were brilliant as well. I had a problem with the phone app, couldn't get it to work on my phone at all. So we had to go into guest services. Like the day when we had the Fast Pass tickets, and they gave us a printout of like tokens because I couldn't get onto it on my phone. Then we're given a token each time. So there are drawbacks, but yeah, nothing that would put me off of going back again.
How are the character interactions are?
Brilliant. Yeah, I didn't have any problem with any of them. The ones that you could see, because I wasn't kind of queuing, like I wouldn't queue for like 2 hours to see one of the Duffy brands or Fab Five or anything, to be honest. We did queue for like 20 minutes to see Nick and Judy, Zootopia in their costumes. But yeah, other than that, we've met a couple of the Avengers. They got like the Avengers campus there. And they didn't speak. Kind of, they've got their handlers with them. But yeah, it was all fine. Great parade, great night show. yeah, definitely recommend a visit there.
Anyone else have any other questions for Dean on Shanghai before we go to AC, our judge, our remaining judge?
One remaining judge.
No pressure. I've done a few categories. I've broken down
Okay.
categories while
Okay,
everyone's been giving their
cool.
arguments. I'll go through categories
Ooh.
of what I think. So I'll start with resorts. And I think we all know that Walt Disney World's going to win on resorts. The variety of resorts is substantial. As a DVC member, Polynesia's my home resort. It's my bloodline. You know, that's where I go. It's where I stay regularly. For me, that will always win. So my bias will play to the resorts, but purely as well because you have such variety. You have a price point for as many people as possible. Although you're looking at the price points for the hotels for things like Cheyenne in Hong Kong, but they are very reasonably priced for what they are. If you're looking at there's so fewer of them in comparison that the hotel may not suit a person, whereas in WDW, you've got more variety. So for me, I would say from a resorts perspective, Walt Disney World wins in category. I'm going to go to park history. And as I've asked that question about the whole thing of envisioning what Walt did, I think we all know that the answer is Disneyland, California for that one. It's the first park. It's the original. It's the one he worked on from the beginning. And, without it, none of us would be here doing these conversations. So it has to take that category. We're going to go to parades. Now, I believe the parades go to Tokyo. Tokyo's parades are the best, hands down. I think the nighttime parades at Tokyo, the level of respect you get for the parades, sitting down, all that, to me personally, I think that's wonderful. Don't get me wrong, Disneyland Paris was the closest second because those stage show options you get in the daytime parades really do make an extra change to it. WDW really lacking on parades at the moment. You've got 2. Disneyland, you've got 1. Sometimes you get paint at the night if you're lucky. So you don't really kind of get it. In Hong Kong, I don't really know too much about the parades, unfortunately, so I have to play a bit. And same with Shanghai, not too sure. But I think Tokyo wins realistically. That nighttime parade that Tokyo's got is really, really, really good. Lowest crowds. So looking at all of them, I think Hong Kong will take the win for lowest crowds purely because it is such an under the radar park. But that plays in such a great favor. For me, if I were to go to a park and my longest wait time was 40 minutes on a busy day, that's wonderful. It's better than going to Disney World on a busy day and Mickey and Minnie's is like 80 minutes. Or in some really silly cases, Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland is like to 120 minutes. So for crowds, that's great. I think that's really, really good. Nighttime Spectacular was the next one. And DLP wins Nighttime Spectacular, hands down. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Happily Ever After. I proposed to my partner on Happily Ever After of a night. So it's a really special one for me. But if we're looking at purely just quality of the show, DLP is the winner. No arguing that.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Maintenance. I asked this question. Maintenance. Tokyo wins maintenance. It's a much more maintained park. There is no arguing that. DLP had a rough run. It's getting better. WDW is really in a rough run at the moment. Their maintenance is not looking too sharp. I haven't seen much from Hong Kong, so I can't give it a judge. But from hearing Hannah and Laszlo's points of view, they've listened to fans. The castle wasn't good, so we just built a new castle. Which we all know what a great way to do that. But I would say Tokyo is a general maintenance point. Really is the standard that should be set and carried across all the parks. Technology has to go to Shanghai. There's just no arguing that. You've got the Pirates Ride. I would say Tron's a technical advancement. We've got it. It's in WDW now. It's not a technical advancement, but that Pirates Ride is unbelievable. That Zootopia ride looks fantastic. I would argue that Zootopia is probably just a slightly rip-off Mickey and Minnie's concept of trackless, but because if you think about how it starts and then compare it to Mickey and Minnie's, it's pretty much the exact same thing, but we'll give it to Shanghai because it's a newer version and it's a nicer looking attraction. Transport. Walt Disney World obviously wins that one not because it's closer, because I would admit it's easier to walk to places if you're so close to them. Paris you can walk, Hong Kong you can walk, Shanghai you can walk, although it sounds like it's an absolute trek. Disneyland you can walk. That's really great. But what the WDW factor is because it's so spread out, you can take the Skyliner. The buses, we take them because we have to, not because we want to. you have some options there, but it just gives that level of variety for something that's so vast. I think that's really great. Best castle. Best castle is a tough one, but my opinion is DLP is the best castle. I think DLP is the best castle. I would say Disneyland, although it's the iconic castle, it's too small. Shanghai being the newest castle, it's far too big. Hong Kong is the second runner in that because of what they've done to upgrade it. I think it's fantastic what they've done. WDW and Tokyo are the exact same. So, they're Cinderella Castle. I'm glad they've painted it back to grey in Florida now because pink was awful. Characters. We're talking about characters, character meet and greets, character experiences. I would say Disneyland is the winner in California because you still have that roaming character feel that you don't get purely because of the bombardment that is not in anyone's control. But in Disneyland, you still get roaming characters. Florida, we've seen a little bit of it, but it's not as much. So I give that to Disneyland. Second parks that have needed updates and over their time have not been loved and then have kind of got better as they've gone on. So looking at life improvement of the resort itself. So I would say from an improvement point, I would give that to Disneyland because the DCA from what it was to where it is now is substantially better. And I reckon in about 5 years' time, Adventure World will be in that same boat, but we can only go where we are currently. Unfortunately, Hong Kong, Shanghai doesn't have a second gate. Tokyo Disney is just perfect in Disney Sea itself. It hasn't needed improvement. They just made it as better as it is. So I can't put it in that category. So things to do outside of the park. So if you've had a park day, you're bored, or you've had a half day, you want to take it easy, what can you do outside of it? WDW takes that win because there's just so much to do. You don't have to, you've got all the resorts there. You've got Disney Springs is a bigger place to shop, although you've got Downtown Disney and Disney Village in. The others you've all got, and I can't remember the name of the shopping area just outside for Tokyo Disney. You have all of those things, but where Disney World kind of has the edge is you've got like a mini golf, you've got the water parks, you've got, capability to hop between all the resorts if you want to. There's a lot of things you can kind of do without being in the parks and still kind of spend a full day. So that's kind of the verdicts I've gone to. And food. Food was a key one as well. I think the best food is tied between Disneyland, California, and Tokyo Disney. Those two tie in. Tokyo Disney for the theming of the food is next level. I mean, it's the only place you can get Mickey chicken nuggets. It's the only place you can get Baymax curry pots and all this sort of stuff. But the actual quality of food goes to Disneyland, hands down. Like the breakfast burritos in DCA and the corn dogs in Disney in DLP, in Disneyland itself are absolutely there. The whole food concept is just top tier. So going on the results of what I have here, let me just check. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Disneyland wins. Disneyland California wins. If you look at purely on category of my finding, Disneyland California wins.
You saw some that?
I did something! I won a thing!
Jackson.
I'm so stoked!
I don't think any of us were expecting that.
I didn't. I thought I'd lost, man. I was like, once y'all went, I was like, Disneyland, it's true, it did walk well, everyone else could run.
What's the,
So first place was First place is Disneyland, second place is Tokyo, third place is DLP, then it's Shanghai, Hong Kong tied.
Podium finish, Olivia. Well done. Podium finish.
Where's Walt Disney World? That's a good point. Where's Walt Disney World?
Sorry.
I
was about to say.
Tokyo, Walt Disney World. Disney World.
They've got.
But I think so. It's hard. It's hard to kind of do this with a bias because I've spent a lot of time in Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and DLP. I've not been to Shanghai. I've not been to Hong Kong. I really want to go to those parks, and it's definitely on my list to do. I've not been to Tokyo either. All the Asian parks I really want to do. But for me, I mean, Disneyland's the original, right? It is the park. Like I said, it's the park that walked so the rest could run. Is it perfect? No park is perfect. But for me, I remember going for the first time in that sense of like the history. You feel it as you walk in those gates. You feel all of that, and you just go, man, he walked these streets. He did all of this. You know, he created this place, and it is just so phenomenal. But if they relied purely on their history, they wouldn't be the winner. They just are consistently in a league of what they do, and you know, they just seem to nail it out of the park every time. Now, don't get me wrong, all these parks are great parks. There's no such thing as a bad park, except for Walt Disney Studios before Adventure World, but let's not worry about that. You know, but it's improving, and that's the magic of it. As we say, they're never finished; they get better. So hopefully I won't upset anyone, and apologies if I have. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, but I like what you said.
That's all I'm happy about.
Yeah.
Because literally, the whole thing, I was like, I've not got this at all. I haven't got this. So to come third, whew, done it.
Yeah, and I think you brought up really good
Winner in
points.
my eyes.
I think you brought up really good points too, like, because every park brings something different to the table, right? Where it's entertainment or food or theming, like, and as we've gone over them, I've been really impressed about how each park has kind of a different identity. Like, I think a lot of people do think like, oh, that's just Disneyland over there, or like that's just Disneyland but bigger in Florida, or it's just Disneyland but hotter. But they're really different, and they're each unique. Like Shanghai is its own thing, man. It really is a completely different park from the rest. Same with Hong Kong, right? So I think it is like, I do agree that Disneyland wins, but I also like that you did bring up that like it has been consistent, and Disneyland has been held to a really high standard its whole life, and I think that part of the reason why it's gained that victory is because everyone's held it so high all the time. It is the benchmark. Even if Walt Disney World is the one where people go to experience Disney a lot of the time, they're looking to Disneyland to say, why is this not like Disneyland does it, or why is this not this way? And so I think that is something that carries into all the parks, and it's benefited everyone that standard's been held. So I totally agree with that.
If WDW could get the food that Disneyland's got, it would have been a very different story, but they're just leagues ahead. That clam chowder bread bowl, oh, best thing ever. The birria tacos, best thing ever. Changed my life. Like, changed my life.
Well, that is a surprising verdict. We are so happy everyone joined us today. Do we have anything else to share before we finally log off on this one, everybody?
I think that was a very fair verdict, to be honest. But I will say, if you consider how long Shanghai and Hong Kong have been around for, we're just getting started, and I think it's very promising, knowing that they're going for original attractions.
Mm-hmm.
They're building brand new thing, Mystic Manor, pirates, new pirates, and things.
We'll have to do it again in 10 years.
Well, I was about to say we should do one from 10 years previous or 20 years previous. Like, some of these parks didn't exist, and so it'd be an interesting kind of race to see. Like, Disneyland in the 90s was a very different Disneyland than we have now. It was very, very different. So was Disney World. I'd be interested to see like who would win if we went off just that information. You know, it's a fascinating race.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like the newer parks, Hong Kong, if you looked at it 5 years ago, that was a completely different story. That was a completely different park. And that's, I think, a lot depends on local leadership as well. How invested they are in what they're doing. Are they like complacent that like it's good what we have? Do we have enough publicity, or let's listen to the people? How can we make it better? And I think the Asian parks are really good with that, with taking feedback on board. Like, just if we look at Hong Kong as well, like, we don't have Tower of Terror, right? We're gonna build one that's not Tower of Terror, but the same experience. And it's the same with the other Asian parks as well. So I think Asia is a brilliant market for that, because it is, even though it is for us, it's not necessarily close enough, but it is manageable and it is affordable. So even what it's lacking in connections, it brings it back to you in price. So it's still going to start make you thinking like, maybe the flights are more expensive in Tokyo, but we're going to spend a portion of the price on merch and on food than we would spend elsewhere. So it kind of like, and that's I think that's quite nice in that, and that makes all the parks somewhat affordable. That there's something that's a plus here that's more expensive, but there's something else that compensates for it, and that makes it achievable, I think.
Yeah.
for many people.
Yeah, I'd completely agree with that.
I do think a lot of people are put off by the long flights as well. And yeah, the flights are expensive. Yeah, they're long, but I think it's worth it. Even like Hong Kong and Shanghai, but even if I got one gate, it's still worth the trip because there's still so much to do. And like we all go as much for the vibes as the rides and the food.
And for the merch.
So
the merch is better. To be fair, if we can have that category in there,
Yes.
merch, all Asian parks are on par. They win. They beat all the others out of the water. There's no arguing that.
It's not even just the design, but the quality of the merch as well.
Yeah, it's really
Even
good. It is really good. And and like you say, Hong Kong, Shanghai, these are newer parks. They're up. We don't rule them out yet. They're going to do great things. I can see it coming. Hong Kong especially, that glow up it's had in the last 5 years has been unbelievable. You see it was really like a dead ghost of a park 5 years ago, and they've just completely they're just going mental with it, and they're improving it in such a fantastic way. I can't wait to see how
Same
that
with
turns
Paris.
out.
Yeah, the previous
same with
managing
Paris, too.
director and the new guy Tim, they really put the park back on the map.
Yeah,
Or on the map.
yeah, they did. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, everyone, that was obviously a little longer than we planned. We appreciate you hanging out. That was a 3-hour chunk of your day that we really appreciate you giving us, especially for you guys in the UK. We know it's late, so thank you so much for sticking with us and for hanging out. Again, we're sorry that we dropped a couple, but we're grateful that you all stuck around. It was a really fun episode, and you all brought up amazing points. Like Olivia and everyone else, you just had these great arguments, these really solid cases for your parks, and it was really fun to hear them.
Really
So,
had to fight for it.
yeah, so well done. And you got a podium finish, so it worked out, right?
It worked in
but,
the end. Thank God for that.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Diz Debate today. Another surprising verdict, another wonderful turnout for one of our battle episodes. As always, these are probably our favorite ones to record together. Thank you so much, everybody, for sticking around with us, for powering through and for hearing all the arguments. It was really, everyone brought such a beautiful case to the table. We really appreciate it. And like we mentioned before, every park is different. So please do try to get to every park. I'm not just trying to sell Disney here, but do try to get to every park because they all have their own thing going. Then you can make up your own mind and tell us why we were wrong or why we were right. We were right. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in today. Next week we're going to be talking about Star Wars and Marvel and their presence in the parks, and we'll see, have they overstayed their welcome? Are they aging well? What about those changes in Star Wars Land? What about that upcoming expansion in Avengers Campus? Stuff like that. So do tune in next week. It is a great episode. We will see you then. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.